We begin with the Trump administration's all-out blitz in making major policy changes. You know, it seems the first days of this administration are like a no-huddle offense. You know, plays going down the field one after another. There's a long list of things you've already got done in 3 weeks. Big border policy changes, ICE crackdowns on criminals, taking biological men out of women and girls' sports, big energy policy changes. So what's different with you and your administration? The difference between the 45th president and the 47th president?
Well, with the 45th, I had tremendous opposition. I won. I did a great job. I never ran before, and I won the presidency. But I didn't know people, and I didn't have the kind of support that I needed. I put people in office, some great, some really great ones, but I had some that I wouldn't have put. I would have, known better if it were a couple of years later, or if I had a little more experience in D.C. I was a New York person, not a D.C. person.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you about us boobs. We're real, and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun, sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 1,000 cities around the world. We just finished 16 years of broadcast excellence, now in our 17th year. The Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. After starting up my computer this morning around 5 a.m., I'm slapped in the face with one of my quotes by a mutual ex-follower, Paul Friend. It read as quote of the day in a nice background. A window of opportunity won't open itself, by Dave Weinbaum. Paul Friend is a Christian leader, a fundraiser, mainly in the UK, an author of Fierce Humility. As he prays in Jesus' name, he asked me in a private message to help him publicize himself, his charities, and his book. Something that I feel obliged to do. And checking it every once in a while, I notice the numbers going up and up to the 5 figures. Now, I don't make a cent out of this, and wasn't waiting for anything except a man asked me to do a favor, and I obliged. Kept reposting it. Apparently, it's done some good for him and his charities. What I'll get out of this is the memory of helping another human being who asked for a favor. I like to smile. I like to help when I can. Can't always. And that warm feeling of doing good, even for a stranger, even if there's no recognition, makes me warmer than the fireplace in my house. But of course, not as warm as an embrace for my loving bride, Lisa Ann, who also works and gives for worthy causes. The secret to a rich life is to have more beginnings and endings. I believe that's what God wants. Happy Valentine's to all those couples out there, and to my lovely bride, Lisa Ann Weinbaum.
Oh, thank you, honey. Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Happy Valentine's. You look good.
Right.
21.
Like $500 billion worth of rare earth, and they've essentially agreed to do that. So at least we don't feel stupid. Otherwise, we're stupid. I said to them, We have to get something. We can't continue to pay this money. You know,
But on the Russian side, how do you get Putin? Do you squeeze him to get him to the table? I mean, how do you?
It would have, look, I say it all the time. This would have never happened if I were president. If the election weren't rigged, this would have never happened. And let's see whether or not Fox lets you put that in, okay? If the election weren't rigged, do you hear me, rigged? Let's see. I mean, this would have never happened. It wouldn't happen with Putin, and October 7th would have never happened either.
It's rigged. We were saying that from day one. 2020 was rigged. And they wanted to throw us all in jail. They wanted to throw Trump in jail. It's rigged. What are you going to do? And you know what? Brett Baer was one of the guys that did it. He was the guy that said Arizona is in for Biden before it even actually happened. Pretty interesting stuff right there. Anyways, welcome to the Dave Weinbaum Show. My name is Dave Weinbaum. I'm going to be your radio talk show host. As you've heard, my lovely bride, Lisa Ann Weinbaum. Hello.
Good
I like the
morning.
little. That's cute, honey. It all matches too.
Oh, wow.
And the earrings.
Yeah,
Look, she get little big heart earrings. Where are your earrings, JP?
Yeah, mine fell out on the way up here. So
yeah, he's had a busy
Darn.
couple of days. He
Yeah.
was in Denver until what, like
till about 8 o'clock yesterday morning. Yeah,
and flew here.
Yep.
And we had to do a we did a rehearsal at about 3.
Yep.
And then you had to go and do what?
S&T basketball.
Yeah, he had to call a basketball game.
Yep,
This
two
guy's
of
a-
them. Two of them. Didn't get
Two
home till 10:30
basketball
last night.
games.
Yeah.
And he's here on time.
Yep.
How about that? I'm very proud of you.
I almost made it.
Yeah, you almost. I told him I thought you were going to make it because you seemed happier this morning than you
Well,
usually do.
It was close, but I stopped for the matching accessories.
Oh,
and,
okay, yeah,
gotta take
well.
extra time.
So is that true? All women take time to get into clothes and they change their clothes. And why do they do that? I don't know.
You did it the last time we went to dinner. You changed your shirt.
changed
you
your
changed
clothes?
your pants. No, you changed your
No.
own clothes.
No, I didn't.
You threw all of them down after you discarded them.
I am the quickest dresser you've ever seen before, and I'm not talking about what you stick your pants in. A dresser. No, I'm a dresser. I can dress fast. Anyhow, we have a great show. I mean, really great show. We got Rabbi Moshe coming on. We got all sorts of stuff coming out of Israel. That's for sure. JJ Bradshaw. He's always great. He gets on TikTok, and he's got like 27,800 people on one 30-second clip. It's amazing. Go see us on TikTok. Go see us on YouTube. And if you want to listen to the show, listen to it here or on X, or also where?
So yeah, I just got to run through the line because we got so many places now: Facebook, X, YouTube, also on Rumble, and then of course you can always catch the audio anywhere that you can find a podcast.
Yeah.
So
Amazon
after the show.
and iTunes and
iTunes, Apple Music,
so
Spotify, everywhere.
There's no reason not to listen to the show. Otherwise, other than the fact that you may not like me, which is fine. Actually, you might enjoy the show, not liking me too. So here's
Some days that happens for me.
I know that.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Valentine's Day. I love you, honey.
Yeah, no. I can take it. I can take it. Chris Adamo is going to be with us at 9:30. Bob Willis, he's going to be back. He's an ex. He's a retired government employee. He ran the forestry department, I think. I'm not as federal, maybe it's for statewide, but I think maybe federal out here. Jeff Zink, who is now going to become the assistant to Robert F. Kennedy as HHS secretary. He's going to be his assistant, and that'll take place probably sometime next week. How about that? He's on this show. Okay. All right. So, and right in front. Oh, and I want to thank Rick out there in Salem for doing all the bits, and the clips and sacrificing for getting a different time to rehearse yesterday. And right now we've got we got a man who is he is he is a wartime rabbi, and you send him dollars and he spends it on the widows of the IDF and their children. Gets all the widows and the children together so they can cope with life. Uh, he's he's now like Trump on the job. Israel has a real friend. Please welcome all the way from Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. So, hi, Rabbi. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Happy Valentine's Day. Do you celebrate that in Israel?
Not really. No.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay. Just curious. Why not?
I don't even understand.
Are there there are holidays though that you do celebrate that Christians celebrate, don't you? Or is there?
I don't know. It's a good question. It depends. If you celebrate Passover or the feast.
Well, that's when you celebrate when you get old. Depends.
Yeah.
You had to do that, didn't you? All right. Never mind. So the king of Jordan, he says he's going to take 2,000 Palestinian kids. Is he really going to do that? And
well, we're hoping he's going to take more. First of all, 2,000 kids means 4,000 parents.
Yeah.
So that's 6,000 people. We're hoping he's going to take way more than that, but at least, it opens the door. It's like a good start, or it's a minuscule start, but hopefully that'll open the door. But, I don't know if you were going to get to it later, but the UAE, United Arab Emirates, actually is the first Arab country to kind of come out and say that the plan is, it's our best option.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You're okay. When you say the plan, you're talking about what Trump said.
Yeah, the plan to move.
It's a mess in Gaza. There's no building standing, and you're going to have a 10, 15-year rebuild. Well, these people can't live like that. They got to go somewhere. Yeah, so you might as well take some.
It was actually funny because this week, because the UN had said, I don't know, months ago, they said it's going to take 300 years to rebuild. And then and then Egypt had a plan. They said, oh, we can rebuild in 3 to 5 years. So either the UN are a bunch of liars or they're just so pathetically uninformed or a little bit of both.
Well, we'll talk about the UN a little later if we got the time.
What I will say is that Trump's suggestion has literally lit a fire under the Arab world. They were saying nothing. It's Israel, it's Israel, it's Israel. And suddenly Egypt gets a conglomerate of Arab nations say, okay, we'll pay for it. We'll rebuild it. But until, a couple days ago, everyone said, no, it's Israel's problem, and
yeah, it's our problem or your problem.
My son, who's home now, he got his first vacation from the army in a year and a half. He told me, he says, northern Gaza, he says 80% of the buildings are destroyed. There's literally nothing there. And so the whole place needs to be leveled and rebuilt, Sure. And what was destroyed, that 80% was destroyed, needs, you need bulldozers, you need cranes, it's not stuff that people can come back and, hire a contractor. It's stuff that's major, it requires major equipment, construction equipment that the average family or the average contractor can't,
You've already got a contractor, and we just voted him into office.
Yeah.
Donald J. Trump is the contractor.
Yeah.
He's already signed up for the job.
Yeah.
And he's saying now that the deadline for Hamas on returning all the hostages seems like it's not going to happen. And he says all hell's going to break loose. What are you taking that to mean?
I don't know. All I know is that Israel called up a lot of reserves.
Yeah.
And they did cancel a lot of leave for soldiers. And Again, we don't know. But one thing I do know is that Hamas had said, okay, we're not releasing any more hostages. And then Donald J. Trump said, all hell's going to break loose. You don't release them all. And suddenly they said, no, we'll stick with the ceasefire agreement and we'll release the 3 people that we had agreed to.
Yeah.
So the question is, was that too little too late? And what's going to happen when, come tomorrow and they release 3 of them?
Yeah, well, he said specifically all of them must be by 12 noon on Saturday. I don't know whose time that was.
Right.
But.
And again, is that a way to get them moving, or is it a art of the deal kind of tactic? In his book, he talks about you ask for everything and you hope you get somewhere in the middle. So is it a tactic? I don't know.
Everything he does is a tactic.
Right. I mean, I think that tactic
is something that you can take it or leave it, or we can negotiate.
Right. So it's like maybe that has not as much to do with the hostages, more about them getting the heck out of Gaza, saying, well, it's just so fascinating. Like every day there's like something new. And
that's right.
Yeah.
You can't believe what he's done. What he's done in what has it been? 20? How many days has it been since the 20th?
It's not even a month. It's not even a month.
About 15, 20 days roughly, and this guy has done more stuff in that period of time than not just Joe Biden, but maybe all the presidents combined during that time period of their inauguration and of getting actually to be president. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
it seems to be working.
And the reporters don't even have a chance to catch up. By the time they talk about one story, he's on to the next one.
But they're always now the reporters are always in the office with him. He's signing stuff and he's taking questions at the same time. That's heard of. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Unbelievable. Like if you also like compare it to Biden, who wouldn't talk to anyone unless it was scripted and it was, incredibly limited, and it's like a breath of fresh air in every way. And there's no time to report on one story deeply and broadly because the next one is already there.
I mean, it's like these crazy liberal journalists who seem to like Biden, and yet he would never talk to them. He would never say anything. If they said, "Oh, can we ask some questions?" He said, "Well, they won't let me back there. They won't let me do it." Who's back there holding you? You're the president, you dope. Well, you can't talk to the press.
CNN is like the reporters are getting slammed left and right. It's funny. CNN, they've been firing lots of people. So I saw a meme. It said they're the first news station that has more employees than viewers.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Trump, he's gonna. Well, first of all, there's a rumor out that he's going to attack Iran and knock out the nuclear abilities of Iran. What do you say about that?
Well,
should I not have said that because that could warn them? No, it's in the news. So.
Look, what was in the news as well. It said Israel was planning within the next 6 months to attack Iran. It was in the news here about Israel. But I assume if such an attack happens, it's going to happen, with at least some level of support from the U.S. Far more than Biden would have given, and certainly political cover, in the UN and wherever it might take. But we'll see.
I wrote an article back in 2015 about April something about the nukes in Iran, and Bibi was in office then,
right?
And supposedly that's when Barack Obama started giving him a lot of money, Iran.
Right.
And so that that never got taken care of, but we figured in 2015 that they would be done fixing their nuclear problem or back at least 10 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
What happened?
I don't know. It seemed to be like in the news they kept saying Iran is a month away, 3 weeks away, 6 weeks away till they get their nukes, and they've been saying that for years. So it's hard to, it's not clear to me, what's really going on there. I think there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and I don't know. But right now, the focus of the news here has been so much about Gaza and moving the Gazans out of Gaza and getting the hostages back. So there hasn't been a lot of talk about Iran.
Well, there's been some.
Yeah.
So Arab news, Al Jazeera
Yeah.
reinforced. Yeah, he's a friend of yours, isn't he?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Sharpton, Al Jazeera, they're it's all from the same,
Yeah. Well, okay. The Arab, many people know about them, but they reinforced Hamas' narrative about victory after the ceasefire, and they call the Hamas attack legitimate military operation. And they're not going back on that. Can you believe that? That's a news source.
Well, Al Jazeera, it was thrown out of Israel. Al Jazeera is controlled. It's based in Qatar. It's like asking the wolves to guard the lambs. It's like, it just doesn't go. You can't have true, accurate news and Al Jazeera in the same sentence. They're just a propaganda arm of Hamas. That's the reality. And the problem is that you have a world of people that actually sees it as a legitimate news source. So Israel threw them out because we found they were spying on Israel for Hamas. So goodbye, Charlie. They were thrown out a number of months ago. It should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, but a bunch of them were cooperating with Hamas, and actually probably
they were embedded with.
Were actually fighting with Hamas.
Yeah,
they were fighting with Hamas against Israel.
Yeah.
So, and that needs to be explored on the UN too a lot, because they were doing the same damn thing.
The problem is the UN isn't really a legitimate organization that's going to honestly and fairly look into any of this. And
how much do you pay the UN?
Right, I don't know. I don't know what it costs to be a member. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to be in there saying, "Is this worth it?" These guys have actually attacked us,
right.
And they're trying to lynch Netanyahu.
Yeah,
and all this.
I think membership at the UN, it should be like a gym membership. You pay, but you don't have to show up. It's.
Well, I'd rather show up and not pay.
Yeah,
that's
better. I was a member of a gym for 5 years. I didn't lose a pound. I didn't know you had to go.
You were in England and you gave them dollars.
Yeah,
instead of a pound. Oh, shit, never mind. Anyways, Trump is getting close to stopping the Ukrainian war, and he believes both Zelensky and Putin want to end the war, and he's going to meet with Putin where? In Saudi Arabia. That's the first place. Of all places. Well, you know what's going on there, don't you? Right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Wow. What's your take on that?
Well,
going to Saudi Arabia to meet Putin.
Well, I think it's a statement. To be honest, it's a huge statement. But that first off, number one, it gives a certain level of prestige to Saudi Arabia to have two world leaders there of that stature. Even though Putin's a bit of a wild card, but to have the two of them coming to Saudi Arabia, I mean, that's a big statement, and it might be part of the Abraham Accords. Trying to get Saudi Arabia to see themselves a little bit away from the Arab world and more into the international community of nations, and get them to see what's possible. That's one thing, but I also think that this is a step in the right direction for Saudi Arabia. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think it also has to do with China getting very chummy with Saudi Arabia, and I think it also has to do with Gaza. They want Saudi Arabia wants. I mean, Trump wants Saudi Arabia's help and investment, and he also probably wants them to take some of the Gazans, to take some of the people.
They certainly have enough room. It's a massive country.
Massive country, very rich country, and sure, that's a smart move, I think. So whenever you see Trump, that's the thing. You never knew what what Biden was thinking about, because, quite frankly, he never thought.
You know what I found fascinating? I read an article last week by Ronald Lauder, the of Estee Lauder's son, the makeup magnate, and he's a left-winger, he's a Democrat, but he wrote an article saying Trump's ideas for Greenland, he says, are brilliant.
Yeah.
And he wrote an article explaining why the U.S. should take over Greenland.
Sure, that in Canada too. There's a lot of areas that that makes sense.
I'm saying what I'm focused here on, though, is the fact that it came from Ronald Lauder. You'd expect it to come from someone within the Trump camp, but the defense of the plan came from a left-winger, a Democrat.
Sure.
So it was interesting.
So you got any scoops or rabbi rants?
I think I've given them all already.
You've given them all? What is it?
I'm
like
all
you came
out.
to the office and you gave?
Yeah, I'm fresh out. Yeah.
Okay. Other than Dave Weinbaum, other than the Dave Weinbaum Show, where can people find and contribute and buy your book? We didn't talk about your book.
Yeah, they can get themselves a copy. It's an early Christmas present, early Hanukkah present. Right. Why wait to the last minute? Go to the website, secretsofthehebrewbible.org. And
tell them a little background about what this book is.
Yeah. It's written so anyone, even if you don't understand a word of Hebrew or can read Hebrew or even recognize the letters, you can achieve a new level of understanding of the Hebrew Bible, because
it's in English
it's in English, but it gives you a way to access the original Hebrew. So it's a very special book, and get yourselves a copy.
My 13-year-old granddaughter, Lexi, has read this book, and she loved it. Okay, she's a smart girl, and she actually absolutely loved it and got a lot of understanding. That's great. Yeah. And my wife, did you read that book?
Not all of it.
Not all of it.
Sorry.
She's a Christian minister, so I gotta watch this very closely. You see.
Okay. So,
all right. So, I was what?
I was going to say they can go to our website on the screen, IsraelAlliance.org, or Facebook.com/Israel Alliance.
I kind of stepped on you there. Sorry.
It's okay.
I was born so endowed. The Moyle had to use hedge clippers. Okay. You got one. I know.
I got pulled over by a cop this week, and he said, anything you say can be used against you. I said, I know, I'm married.
Yeah, okay, very good. Mine was better. Anyways, Rabbi, Shabbat Shalom, my friend.
All right, guys.
How do you need that boy of yours? The rest of the family, okay?
You got it. Take care.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye. All right, Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. Kicking ass and taking names, boy. I'll tell you what. Where Israel is done doing this, and that's what Trump brought up. He says, you know what? You can't keep doing this. I used to talk to the rabbi all the time. You can't keep letting them get away with attacking you and then signing a ceasefire, and a year and a half goes by and they attack you again, ceasefire, and you do it for 18 times. Well, that's got to stop. And I'm afraid they're doing it again, except for the fact that Trump is president and he's saying the same thing. So he's trying to change the whole thing about Gaza, which, by the way, used to be part of Israel, and maybe work something out with the Arabs, and maybe get these people involved with the what is it called? Okay, never mind. Anyways, it's going to be a part of the big thing that Saudi Arabia and Israel are considering doing that brought down the 10-7 war. Yes, the Abraham Accords. There you go. They see that was a test. I really knew what I was saying. I just wanted him to.
It didn't sound like it.
Keeping me awake.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it.
Yeah, I got to keep you awake. If I don't do that, who's going to do it? And you're asleep. I know you're sleepy, so that was very good because I know you haven't. Yeah, see, there you go. He's falling asleep right now. Anyhow, he is. Trump is doing this. And whenever he does something now, you have to examine what is he really thinking about. If he assigns a tariff to somebody, what is he talking about? He is now into a position to where he is offering Ukraine part of the deal that they're going to get. They're not going to get much land, and neither is Putin. But what he's saying is, you've gotten $300 billion, and we need that money returned, and we need a guarantee, and the guarantee is all the valuable gems and rocks and other things that are in the ground in Ukraine. He's thinking about this all the time. It's amazing. All right, we're going to take our first commercial, and we'll be back. We're really getting a nice audience today. I don't know if they're nice or not, but we're getting a lot of people. All right. So call 573-578-2700, or
you can also reach us on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble,
and shop at all of our supporters here. All right. Thanks.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper Fresh Savings every day. Busy schedule? A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Gotta reach 'em, see it right now. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I had a lot of opposition. I just noticed, I looked on the stage for the recent inauguration, and I'm looking, it's like a who's who of Washington. Well, if you look on the stage for the first one, it was just the opposite. There weren't a lot of people that were Washington people. And I had some great people, but I had some people that I wouldn't have put there. And I had opposition that I don't have now, this great unity. Even many of the enemies are already, you know, whether they gave up and they just said, look, we're going with this guy. But I have great support in the business community, in the political community. You take a look at the Senate right now. It's like it's been phenomenal. You take a look at the House. We have our leadership in both is fantastic. We really have tremendous momentum, and it's great for the country. And all over the world, they're talking about it. There's like a light shining all over the world.
19 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit, and early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his team, government efficiency team and DOGE, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone in the government. You take a look at the USAID, the kind of fraud in there,
and you found
the money's going.
Things.
Well, we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of money that's going to places where it shouldn't be going, where if I read a list, you'd say, this is ridiculous. And you've read the same lists, and there are many that you haven't even seen. It's crazy. We're talking about hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars. It's just a fraud. It's a big scam.
Tell me your sins, my son.
Well, I should mention that I'm Jewish.
Well, that's no sin.
Oh, good. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about Dr. Watley. I have a suspicion that he's converted to Judaism purely for the jokes.
And this offends you as a Jewish person?
No, it offends me as a comedian. And it'll interest you to know that he's also telling Catholic jokes.
Well,
And I mean, and they're all jokes. I mean, the Pope and Raquel Welch in a lifeboat.
I haven't heard that one.
Oh.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest is right here. He's ready to go. All right, this man is 256 years old. He was back when the Revolutionary War started, and he is, he used to pick up pioneer women at Ye Old Tavern along with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin. So please welcome a man who is a constitutional genius, J.J. Bradshaw.
Good morning, Dave.
How are you?
You know, I'm pretty good. The stuff has been flying this week, Dave. I've got so much to comment on. It just amazes me. Let's start out with Pam Bondi.
Yeah.
Pam Bondi is going to be running the DOJ. Mm-hmm. And as an aside to that, Trump has fired 93 U.S. attorneys that were appointed by Biden.
Well, that's normal.
With a stroke of a pen.
They all do that, don't they?
Pretty much, yeah. But I think prior to Obama, we didn't see U.S. attorneys that were drooling leftist liberals. They were appointed more or less apolitically. But Pam Bondi is suing the state of New York, specifically Governor Kathy Hochul, Letitia James, Attorney General, and DMV Commissioner Mark Schroeder. When I first read that, I said to myself, what the hell is she doing suing a DMV commissioner? I mean, what does that have to do with national politics? And when I looked into it, I shuddered. In 2019, the state of New York, their legislature, left-leaning morons that they are, passed what's called the Green Light Law. Well, okay, what's the Green Light Law? Well, that law allows anyone 16 years of age or older to obtain a New York State driver's license. No Social Security card required, no citizenship required, no nothing. So illegal aliens can obtain a New York State driver's license. Really, no questions asked. And the next stop is the voting booth. Mm-hmm. So what this DMV commissioner, Mark Schroeder, has done is opened up a back door for illegal aliens who have flooded New York State to vote in local and national elections. And Pam Bondi and her staff have discovered this, and they are all over this. Oh, yeah. Kathy Hochul, Letitia James, Mark Schroeder, you're going to lose on this one. This is clearly a violation of federal election laws and federal immigration laws.
Well, Hochul has taken some action. She is now fixed it to where that if they find a person in one of the jails in New York City and they can figure out that he's been charged with a bunch of crimes, they will call ICE now and pick him up and have him returned. So I think she's sort of mediated that one. The other story to that is ex-Mayor Adams.
Yeah,
who just Trump is he's on a slow, not so slow path to be a Republican. For goodness sakes, he's the guy that originally said, "Hey, we can't do this." When he was a flaming liberal, we can't have $51 billion or $1 million go to these people in these hotels.
Yeah, it's $59 million in a week.
Yeah, okay.
You know, Kathy Hochul has backed off on this thing because she is faced with losing federal funding in her state. Trump has made it quite clear to her that, hey, you keep doing this stupid stuff, you're going to lose a whole lot of federal dollars. And the woman is a drooling leftist liberal, but she's no fool. She's a political animal, and she sees that handwriting on the wall. Adams is kind of the same way. I mean, this guy was an anti-Trumper, and now he's coming around. because Trump sees him as a potential ally in the city of New York to help with the Trump agenda. So, Donald Trump's a pretty sharp guy, and I don't think anyone can get inside his head and know what he's thinking, but his actions suggest that he's going to do some good. Now, Pam Bondi, I think, is DOJ head, I think is one of the best picks they possibly could have made. She hit the ground running. If you recall, Chicago and Cook County were sued.
She nailed them too.
She nailed them to the wall and gave them the same sort of alternatives.
Yeah.
You guys need to straighten this stuff out post haste, or you're going to lose federal funding, and some of you are going to end up seeing the inside of a jail cell.
That's right. Yeah.
It's pretty clear that Trump is not fooling around with this stuff.
No.
Now, speaking of people that have bailed on the Democrat Party, there's another one here that once I got to looking into this just amazed me, and that's Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
Tulsi has just been confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, and she's over 17 agencies, some of those, the CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, NSA, pretty high-powered folks. And I got to looking into her, Dave, and her background is fascinating. From 2013 to 2016, she was the vice chair of the DNC, and then ran for president in 2020. So I had to ask myself, well, where does turnaround come from? Because she's clearly a pro-Trumper now. Donald Trump has placed his trust in her. So I got to looking, and I read the most interesting article. It was only about 1,000 words, but it pretty much got inside her mind, and this is what it said. She was co-chair of DNC for a while, and she took a good look at what was going on around her at the upper levels of the DNC and decided this is a sinking ship. These people are insane. They are proposing and enforcing things that are so anti-Constitution.
Sure.
So she bailed. And I'm glad she bailed. I think she's going to do.
We're all glad she bailed, and she was under surveillance by the Biden administration, where they would actually go in and take their phones, her and her husband, on a flight anywhere.
Yeah,
and so they were hawking her, and who knows what they'll do to you,
Yeah, the Biden administration.
But also, she says she knows that George. She said this in testimony to the Senate. She says she knows that Obama and Bush were giving money to Al Qaeda and ISIS. They're giving a lot of money to them, American money.
That trail exists. What they were doing was giving money to third-party lettered outfits, not the NGAs, not government agencies. But all this is a sham for funneling money straight to whoever you want it to go to. And
why were they doing that? I mean, why Bush? That really struck me. She said that.
Perhaps he's a bigger
Obama
traitor
doesn't strike me at all.
Speaking of moving money around, Lee Zeldin found $20 billion, that's a B, billion dollars, parked in a financial institution. Biden did this in the last few days.
What were they? Was it money or was it gold bricks?
Well,
serious.
One is equivalent to the other, Dave.
I know, but it's kind of adds something to it when you got 20 gold bricks out there worth $18 million or something, or whatever it was.
Well, it's $20 billion once you counted it all up.
Yeah, I took two.
In-kind payments. But anyway, this was parked in a financial institution through the EPA, or at least with the EPA's authorization, to promote green stuff after Trump became president. So they took a little money, they shuffled it off to the side and said, nobody will notice this. And when Trump comes in, we can refute a bunch of his policies because we're well-funded. We got this money hidden. And lo and behold, that money has been clawed back to the U.S. Treasury as it should be.
Sure.
Now, those that perpetrated that fraud need to be brought in front of a judge and explain their activities. This smells a lot like fraud and treason to this old man.
Of course it is. What? Of course it is. There's no, what possible good reason would you have to do this?
Well, none that I can think of, but I am a reasonable man.
Keeping it hidden is a crime enough.
Well, there's so much of this stuff. I think Pam Bondi and the DOJ are going to be busy for the next few years. Doge, with Elon Musk at its helm, uncovers stuff every day. And DOJ is going to be required to persecute these things or prosecute them. In a Republican government, it would be prosecution. In a Democrat government, it would be persecution. But good job for Lee Zeldin to uncover this thing. And shame on the Biden administration for trying to pull a sneaky stunt like that to begin with. This further underlines the level of sleaze of that particular organization.
And wait till we get RFK going.
I can hardly wait.
And guess who's coming up on this show?
Cash Patel.
On this show, Jeff Zink, who once Cash Patel gets in, he's getting in.
How about that?
He's got a clear Jeff, because him and his son were at 1-6, and his son got arrested and convicted, and then Trump pardoned him.
Yeah.
That's big. 10:30 today.
You mentioned $59 million in New York that Kristi Noem has clawed back. FEMA had been paying luxury hotel rates for not necessarily luxury hotels to house illegal aliens. And if you recall, Trump said, we're going to stop that. He said it on his first day in office, and this payment went through anyway. And Kristi Noem has managed to claw that back. There's a whole bunch of hotels in New York City that I'm afraid their gravy train has stopped. Now, what's going to happen to all those illegals? Well, ICE is going to gather them up and send them back where the hell they came from. This seems to me to be a righteous sort of thing. You violated our laws when you came into this country. You did so with impunity. Our federal government waved you in. So they committed crimes against our immigration laws.
Those who did it should be held responsible. Those who did that should be held responsible.
Let's talk about Ukraine for a minute. Conversations that Trump has had, he said this war is going to stop. It's going to stop pretty darn quick. And those negotiations are going on as we speak. Now, if you look at traditional negotiations to stop a war, they take months and months and months because you got a bunch of clown career diplomats in there that are doing whatever slow dance it is that they do. And Trump has bypassed that garbage. He went straight to the head, talked to Zelensky, talked to Putin, and said, we're going to stop this thing. We're going to try to do it as equitably as we can, but none of you guys are going to be real happy about it, but this thing is darn sure going to stop. If you look at it, it's wrecked Ukraine's economy, which was a little shaky to begin with. It has wrecked Moscow's economy. The Russians have expended tremendous amounts of money.
It hasn't done very much for us, either $350 billion, which we have no idea how it was spent in.
How about that? That's going to be investigated too.
Of course it is.
It's absolutely obscene that the Biden administration did this the way they did it. And what is it? Well, it's a money laundering scheme, same as everything that the Biden administration came up with. They're taking dirty money and turning it into clean money and sticking it in their pockets. I noticed that Joe Biden didn't pardon himself, so it may be that they're going to go after him. Federally, they can't go after his families because the bastard pardoned him.
I thought he did pardon himself at the end. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Anyone out there know if he has pardoned himself? I thought he did right at the inauguration.
Right before Trump's inauguration, that's when he pardoned his family last minute, but he did not pardon himself, from what we understand.
As I understand it, a president cannot pardon himself. He can pardon anybody else. What's the story with the pardons? There's a whole bunch of state AGs that got together and said, let's prosecute these bozos on a state level. Surely there's some dirt we can find on them that would be cause them to be guilty of violation of state laws. So that is occurring now. Whether that actually gets any traction or not, I don't really know. But it will be enormously entertaining to watch this thing.
You can still make these people testify in front of Congress.
Who
are charged with federal crimes.
Yeah,
and they cannot use the Fifth Amendment to protect themselves.
Of course, they can still lie.
Well, yeah, but if they get caught in a lie to Congress, that's a felony.
Yeah, and I think this Congress would likely take that up as a more serious matter than the previous Democrat-controlled Congress did.
Right, exactly.
Let's talk about ICE for just a minute. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Dave, there's so much going on this week. I'm drowning in it. So I'm only able to
it's amazing. You know what? But we're smiling now. We're smiling more.
Oh, this is the best stuff ever.
This guy is shockingly good.
Yeah,
Trump,
he's pretty good.
He wasn't this good in 2016, and he knows it, and he's admitted it. I'm a New York guy. What do I know about politics? And they gave him people. Some were okay, and most of them were ridiculously bad.
Yeah,
and he had to fight that, and he had to fight from day one from impeachment calls and all this other crap. But now, guess what? He's free to move, and I think the one seminal thing that happened was him getting shot in a year.
Yeah,
and that kind of changed him, I think. And
I think he got introduced in a moment's time to Jesus.
Now, don't shoot me in the ear or anyone else around here, but I think he has recognized that as a pivotal moment in his career.
Oh, I think so. I think God showed him a little something. Let's talk about Tom Homan for a minute. Of course, the guy that's doing the roundup and deportations. Early on, Tom Homan, you hear from him every day. And he said, we're going to do this. We're going to ramp this up. We're going to follow our immigration laws, period. And if you're in the way, we will shove you out of the way or arrest you. Those are your choices. Well, yesterday, he fired Russell Hott and Peter Berg. Actually didn't fire them. He reassigned them, which is the equivalent of being reassigned to, I don't know, Siberia. These guys were two guys.
Who do they work for?
These were two mid-level managers in ICE that weren't performing to Tom Homan's relatively high standards. And he said, okay, boys, we're going to send you off someplace where you can be completely.
Were these guys with the FBI by any chance?
Say that again, please.
Were they with the FBI before this?
No, they're with ICE.
Okay.
But the point is, he sent them off packing because they were not performing to his relatively high standards. And this is a good thing. This shows the troops that this guy means business. He's not fooling around. And if you're dragging your feet or you still have allegiance to the other side, you're going to be caught. We're going to send you someplace that you won't enjoy. Let's talk about that government payouts for a minute. Trump froze, and then U.S. District Judge George O'Toole put a temporary injunction on freezing these retirement buyouts that has since been swept away.
Yeah.
And
what do you mean swept away? In other words, the judge just had to say, "Wait a minute, I'm beyond where I'm supposed to be." So
he got over the tips of his
right to do this.
Let's look at judgeship for just a minute. Judges, as a group now, are fairly conservative folks, and if they think something is potentially unconstitutional, they're going to introduce a temporary injunction. It happens all the time.
Well, how about doing a little bit of research first?
Well, this gives them a chance
before you blow up everything. How about
it gives them a chance to examine the facts. And this guy, good to his word, examined the facts and said, nope, it's within his purview to do this. And he pulled that temporary restraining order. Good. Now, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau and the Small Business Administration have had their ranks littered pretty thoroughly in the last couple of days because Musk and Doge discovered that, these were pretty ineffective outfits. In the case of the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, who's supposed to protect the consumer from outrageous banking practices, found out that these folks were doing just the opposite. They found out that Obama era restrictions were still in place within these agencies, and they stripped them.
Let me read a little something here to you. So if you're a business, you own a business and you get robbed, Elon Musk shows you the film of the theft, and now you want to arrest Elon and impeach Trump.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That's what they're saying here.
This is what the far left has come to.
Except finding the robberies that the whoever did it, and could be both agents in the agencies. It could have been GOP. It could have been Democrats. But all those people they're up in arms over this because of the fact that they're culpable.
Yeah. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar, and now they're attacking the one that caught them.
Yes.
Dave, the court of public opinion is going to be so strong with this. Something you never saw in the Biden administration was any kind of transparency.
Yeah.
And Musk and company, in particular Donald Trump, Musk said, I'm going to make some mistakes along the way, and I'll admit them, and I'll own them, and I'll keep right on going. And when you publish this stuff and you make it available to the American people, and then the left squawks about all of this, it makes the left look like the sham party that they are. It makes them look like ineffective criminals.
And they are threatening violence to us.
Go ahead.
In Congress, a guy said we need to start carrying heavy weapons. Okay.
Dave, most of those weenies couldn't carry a BB gun. So I would say that their threats are completely hollow and ineffective.
Yeah, what does that make you want to do, though? As a person who is First Amendment and a person that knows all about guns and rifles, what does that mean to you when a member of Congress says you gotta carry some big weapons now? Okay,
well,
he's making lethal weapons.
Okay, bring it on if you think you can. I think there's an awful lot of patriots in this country that would cause whatever riots you think you can foment to quiet down pretty quickly. And frankly, I don't think DOJ is going to take any of that nonsense either. If you make threats towards individuals, they're going to come after you. And this is something we never saw in the Biden administration. We never saw the DOJ stand for truth, justice, and the American way. It was always
and they got away with it. They got away with all those riots that were killing people, that were destroying properties, businesses. They got away with it, and then they pick on this 1-6 mirage, and that's BS. It was BS because only one person got killed in there. And he had how many agencies were involved in that? The CIA, the FBI must have had 15,000 people there were agents looking for anything. One person died, Ashley Babbitt, and that was from a DC cop. And
she was an innocent.
And she was an innocent, absolutely standing there joking with the cops, and all of a sudden she gets shot in the neck.
Congress is taking a look into this thing, Dave. They're looking into the Jan 6 committee and lifting up the skirt a little bit and looking underneath there, and what they're finding is disgusting. And I do believe they're going to make a lot of that public. Why?
Sure.
Because it's politically expedient. It turns that Democrat mousetrap they had of a committee, shows it up to be the sham that it was. Now, we all knew that anyway. All you had to do was listen to Adam Schiff for about 10 minutes, which is the limit of the time I can listen to him, and know that this was purely partisan, purely. There was no attempt made at
If
all.
he isn't scared to death, I don't know who would be scared to death. He needs to be scared to death based on the evidence they got on him. I don't know if he got pardoned or not. Did he get pardoned? I think he did.
The whole committee got pardoned.
Yeah, well, so we'll see how long that lasts.
We will see. I think in the end, under the Trump administration, it's likely that the truth on these matters is going to come out. It's going to take a while. These things grind along rather slowly.
Sure.
But I think we will ultimately see at least a piece of the truth. And we saw absolutely no truth coming out of the Jan 6 Congressional Committee.
Right.
That thing was a sham and a partisan hack job from one end to the
other.
other.
They're still talking about it. They're still talking about it. They're still calling Cash and saying, you are responsible for 500 injured cops and so died. And how many? They're saying 6 died. And all.
But nobody says anything about Baltimore or Ferguson or any of the BLM riots
Seattle,
where they burned down entire city blocks.
Wisconsin.
Nobody's talking about any of that stuff. They all got a pass. The Jan 6 folks got lambasted for what amounts to a misdemeanor criminal trespass. I mean, where's the justice in this?
You had a guy on Fox who is he is the guy that's the liberal, and he seems like a nice guy. He's a lawyer. He's an ex-congressman. I can't remember his name offhand, but he said, "Okay, so I don't disagree at all with what Elon is doing or the president, blah blah blah. But you know what? You ought to just do this and just make it for the future. You can't go back. In other words, you can't hold anybody responsible when in fact they wanted to hold us responsible and Donald Trump responsible for living, basically, for living and being a conservative.
In a country
they wanted
of
us
laws,
in jail, and they've said so at times.
In a country of laws, which we claim to be, there is responsibility for misdeeds. And I sincerely think the DOJ and the House of Representatives going to go back and take a look at this stuff and say, wait a minute, you, and you were out of line. And what can we do to prosecute you? Yeah, but I got a federal pardon. Well, good. Maybe we can go after you at the state level. Maybe we can show up your house at midnight with a can of gasoline. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to look like. But I think there will be some justice come out of this. And at the very minimum, the court of public opinion swings a pretty big hammer. You expose these people for what they are and what they have done, and the odds of their reelection slide towards zero.
Well, I think now that we have the majority, yes. But we got to be careful, too, because someday probably they're going to come back somehow. I don't know how. I don't think it's going to be for about 10 years. The way they're going, it may be never, quite frankly. But you know what? You can't completely destroy them and expect to have because it goes back and forth, and you know that they raised the level when they indicted Trump and convicted him of stuff he never did. Okay, they raised the level.
Dave, there is a difference
for that, but you can't go overdoing it.
Dave, there is a difference. They pursued lawfare, and in the sleaziest sort of fashion. I think the Trump regime is going to do this completely within the confines of the existing law.
That's what I'm saying.
And in doing so, let that pendulum swing the other way. When folks see what has happened in the past, what the Democrats have shoved on us, and then they see a squeaky clean knight in shining armor, bombastic though he is, Donald Trump, whose organization and his cabinet level positions are pursuing these things completely within the confines of the federal law. I think the man on the street, once that is presented to him, is going to say, yeah, I know which side I stand on this thing.
Right. And you know, they're saying Trump got 77 million. I bet you it was more than the 81 million that Joe Biden said he got in 2020. I'd almost bet money on that because they cheated this one too.
Trump said the other day, we made this thing too big to rig. And he was absolutely right.
wasn't for lack of trying, though. Hey, let me read some of the things I got on the board here, because some of them I think pertain to you.
Oh, no.
Oh, God. Oh, I can't read that. Oh my God. This is from you. John Jeffrey Bradshaw. So much happened this week. Yes, with two hearts in his eyes. Patricia Oden Maxwell sounding good, looking good. Go, team.
We love you, Pastor Pat.
Yes, we do. Sharon passing. Happy Valentine's Day. You always have great shows. That encourages us all. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. He's a big part of it. Owen McNamee, who is always pushing my shows on X and Facebook wherever he can. Good morning, Patriots, and he is an absolute patriot. Thank you very much for what you do, Owen. Jeffrey Bradshaw, once again. Well, you're active. Great segment, Rabbi. And it was a great segment by the Rabbi. That's for sure. Shannon Reed, good morning and happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to you too, Shannon. Tim Owens, good morning, Patriots. Good morning, Tim.
Morning, Tim.
And Andrea Shrum. I'm not surprised. The Bushes are at the center of the New World Order globalist agenda. You know what? It's sure looking that way.
Pretty true.
We didn't know that. Ann Maddox, and I believe you know this person, don't you?
I do.
Good morning.
She's my daughter. Good morning.
Yeah, okay. Your daddy's a fine gentleman and a great friend. Patricia Oden Maxwell, wonderful info, JJ. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor.
Right. And one more, Diane Trump. Whoa.
Ooh.
Are you really a Trump? What's with all the pardons? If they say they didn't do anything wrong, he knew they were all guilty of crimes. Yes, you're absolutely right. And
I think so.
she's really a Donald Trump supporter. Can you get him on the show, for God's sakes? He's on everybody else's show. Why not mine? Okay, come on. All right. What else you got for me, my friend?
That's the end of it, Dave. We're up against a heartbreak anyway.
All right, my buddy.
Next Friday.
Actually, we're not, but if you want to say I am and give me an excuse I don't need, that's all right. Anyways, thank you so much to you and your family and your lovely bride. And we'll see you on March the 6th. Yes. I'll look forward to it. And that's the Pregnancy Resource Center.
It's the Banquet for Life.
Yes, Banquet for Life. All right, my friend. Have a great weekend. That's John Jeffrey Bradshaw.
It has been my pleasure, Dave. Okay.
All right, no more overtime. All right, thanks a lot. Okay. It's a wild show so far. All right. And I'm glad we got the comments in, because it's important to have people realize that they can get some input into the show. Andrea Shrum, watch The War on Truth miniseries she watched it, I guess. She watched the War on Truth. The depth of government tyranny leveled against the Patriots on January 6th is staggering. They must have restitution. You know what? I won't tell you what the subject matter was. I just talked to Ryan Zink yesterday, and we had a little talk about that. And he's in the process of turning it around. And he had an FBI guy bothering him, even though he got pardoned fully, and he's on his way. They're on their way to fighting back. Is what's happening, and it's happening as we speak. My friend, our friend Mark McCluskey and his wife, they're going to be fighting with him as lawyers. And there's going to be a ton of lawyers now fighting back over what happened to these people, because they all deserve for being jailed falsely, for not having their representation, to have judges that were totally biased. They deserve a lot of money, quite frankly, and these judges need to be punished. The judges and the people that put them in that position, the Democrats. Even Nancy Pelosi is now saying how guilty she was for this, because she turned down the $10,000 to $20,000 National Guards that Trump offered her. She said it, and you know who filmed it? Her daughter. She said it, and her daughter filmed it. This was phony all the way along. This is how nasty these people. They're nasty people.
So I think there's two reasons why Trump is on such a run, less than a month in office. One, it's his second term. He can't rerun. He doesn't have to worry about re-election, so he's going to fulfill the promises that he laid out in his campaign. Two, I think JJ is spot on. When they took that shot at him in Pennsylvania, he realized when he said, I'm going to drain the swamp in 2016, he didn't even realize how deep the swamp was. And that near assassination made him realize they're willing to do anything to keep their way of life, even if it means literally taking his. And it has put a new fire under him. And I don't know if he could have run a better campaign. It was so calculated. It was, I don't know if I can say perfect, but if it wasn't, it was near perfect.
No, I don't want to say this is the truth, but I saw something on Twitter where they say they're examining the other shots, one of which landed in part of the grandstand where people were sitting, and they're saying that this shot did not come from the roof, from Crooks, Thomas Crooks, I think his name was. This shot did not come from there, and now they're so what they're saying is that this was a collusion between who? Other people involved, sort of like the John F. Kennedy.
I was going to say, we have JFK number 2 then.
Yeah, and we're going to get all that information. And there's a ton of information relating to JFK, Martin Luther King, and also Robert Kennedy Sr.
Now, how interesting is that we have they tried to basically, we have a JFK 2 happening in front of us, or did a few months ago, with RFK Jr. in Trump's cabinet. It's amazing. You couldn't predict this kind of stuff before.
All right, we got 3 people coming on. We got we have what we got? Hold on. We got Bob.
Spit it out.
Bob Willis. He's coming on at 10. 9:30. We got. See, I'm not going in order. We got Chris Adamo, and then at the very 10:30, the last part of the show, we're going to have a great visit. This guy's hanging out with people like Rob Schneider, of all things. That's Jeff Zink. And I said, well, I thought he was a comedian. Jeff Zink. No, he says, this guy's a real serious conservative, and he knows all about, he's got the same education I do according to health things. And he's a sharp guy. I'm going to be doing some work with Rob Schneider. So I said, well, this is what I said. You can do it. Yeah. You can do it all night long. Okay, hit the commercials.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about Koi Sushi and Hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy. But also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender. All one word? But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle, you don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Busy schedule? Let your locally owned Price Chopper help you save time with online shopping. It's easy. Sign up to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. Create an account and browse through the categories and choose the items you need. When you place your order, your personal shopper will get all of the items you've selected, taking the same care you would and following your notes. We offer free curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Start your online order today and no online shopping fee for a limited time. Go to tcmarkets.com or download our mobile app to get started. Price Chopper. Fresher savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have.
Gotta reach 'em, see it right now.
Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
At Town & Country Bank, we are committed to providing exceptional service to our customers. We do more than just provide loans for our community. We help make dreams become reality. Whether it's a new home, farm, business, or a new car, we would love the opportunity to help. Stop by one of our 2 Rolla locations and let our friendly lending team remind you how special hometown banking can be. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Some good money, and we can do that through any one of a number. I think I'd rather give it to Marco Rubio over at the State Department. Let him take care of the few good ones. But I mean, usually when you have a list like that, you'll have a couple of like bad ones and all good ones. Here we have a couple of good ones and all bad ones. Just hundreds of horrible places that they're giving this money. So I don't know if it's kickbacks or what's going on, but the people, look, I ran on this. And the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific. He comes in with 100 very smart people. You know, it started off with 12. Then it went to 15, then it went to 25, then it went to 50, and everybody wants to join. And I guess you have to have an IQ of about 175 at least to do it. They're a smart group of people. They don't dress as well as you or maybe me, but they are smart. And they go in there and they talk to people, and the people get all tongue-tied because they have no idea. Nobody thought this would be caught. First of all, he's a great guy. He was never really a supporter or not a supporter. He was a sort of semi-neutral kind of a guy, not a political person, very smart, a brilliant person, and which I like. I'm a big believer in IQ points. I mean, it's a good thing. And I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last couple of years. During the campaign, he liked what I said. He went to Pennsylvania. He actually campaigned right after the rocket ship went up, where he caught it coming down, which nobody saw before. He then took off. He went to Pennsylvania. He actually campaigned for me and did a very good job. I won Pennsylvania by a lot. I won everything by a lot. But Elon, I'd say go in here because USAID, I heard very bad things about for years. I mean, you did too. I mean, I'm sure you did too. It's a scam. It's a fraud, a lot of it, most of it. But it's a fraud. Look at the jobs that they produce for people. I'm not even going to mention their name. It's too big a show to mention their name. It's almost unfair. But the whole thing is a giant fraud. I think judges will have to do the right thing, really. Otherwise, you're going to have a whole big problem with the country. Now,
bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. And, the people elected me on that. And we have a group of people that you just can't get. I mean, these are really brilliant. It's a group, I call it the group of 100. We literally started off with 14 or 15 young geniuses. Now we have 100 young geniuses.
It's been, what? It's been like 2 weeks? I mean, 2 weeks. I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote? In 2 weeks, I went from the highest high to being unemployed. Lost my job last night, got a phone call. The repercussions of what Elon Musk are doing with the USAID has real repercussions for real people. For the last 7 years, I have been a shift lead on Project Bus, where we studied to find out if the wheels on the bus went round around or not. And all of a sudden, Elon, who's not even elected, gets in, and I'm out of a job. What do I tell my family? What do I tell my kids? This isn't a joke. This USAID stuff is not a joke, man. It's affecting real people. And the worst part is, what if we never figure out if in fact the wheels on the bus do go round and round? Does nobody care?
Do we care about that? I mean, how are we going to find out if they're not going back and forth, and not round and around? Put the money back so this poor guy can get a job. Oh, come on. John Jeffrey Bradshaw, good clips. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. You got some other guys out there, right? Kathy, Sander, Dylan, good morning and happy Friday. They coined that phrase, by the way. Happy Valentine's Day, Dave, and beautiful Lisa, and happy Valentine's Day to all the Dave Stars who follow the best information. She's got great little words like that. Best informative show around. God bless each of you. Well, that's so kind, because I do study a lot and I love doing this stuff. And it's like I started this when I was like, how old was I? About 60 something. About 60. Yeah, 60. Chris Rosani, the payback time has come for the Democrats. You can't poke a bear without getting bit. These people are out to destroy all the country. Thank God for our President Trump. The country is happy and proud again, thanks to the NOB's no BS agenda of the White House. We are Americans, and we will take back common sense attitude. Oh, by the way, happy Valentine's Day, Lisa, and to you too, Dave. And don't forget to eat your pasta. This is from The Godfather. He's asking for revenge. And now we have a gentleman. I use that term sparingly.
Oh man, you used to play my theme song and everything, and now all you do is pick on me.
I pick you to be on the show. Okay, I pick you to be on the show.
I guess that
and I don't pick you to stop me right before I do my monologue, not even during the monologue. My God, give me a shot here, all right?
Well, you were picking on the other Italian guy. I figure I'm going to get to hear some anti-Italian jokes too. We're seeing a pattern here, Dave.
The other Italian guy's a nice guy. He's a friend of mine. I'm not sure. All right, openly pro pizza. This guy is it's made in Wyoming, just like Liz Cheney made in Miami.
Oh man,
he has been Well, it's a coincidence. He has been responsible for the turn to MAGA in Wyoming, and has written the book Rules for Defeating Radicals. Please welcome, all the way from, well, I guess it's Missouri, Chris Adamo. Well, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'll quit picking on you, since that was kind of a nice intro after everything. But
everything I do is nice. It's all in fun. Why are you getting so happy?
I'm having fun too. Come on.
Okay.
So
I don't
we're
know.
all having fun. Elon Musk is having fun, man. I've got 2 pages of notes here. So what do you got first? Because I want to make sure we get your stuff.
Tucker Carlson says Ukraine is taking American weapons sent by Biden and selling it to the drug cartels. Half of it. He says he's absolutely positive that this is happening. You know this?
I will tell you, I didn't know about this. However, it's absolutely par for everything else we've been seeing. I mean, this is all we keep seeing out of this situation. I'll remind you an incident that happened on your show way back when. There was a person on here, I won't mention the person's name, but they were trying to, we were discussing the rhinos actually in Jefferson City, in Missouri's capital, Jefferson City. Yep. And they were trying to use the phrase, the process, trust the process. Yep. Okay. I want to point out all of this U.S. aid corruption, all of these billions, all of the absolute propagandizing that's been going on all over the world with U.S. tax dollars that you and I have to pay out. That's the process. That's what we're seeing. This is the real process, okay? And what President Trump and Elon Musk are doing is they're going after the process. So when we hear something like this from Tucker Carlson, it's infuriating, but it's absolutely believable.
Yeah. He says he's absolutely positive it's true.
I have no doubt about it.
Absolutely positive. I don't know, but he's a pretty reliable guy. All right, I'd say Tucker Carlson, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely, he is. I mean, you look at the things that he says, and they'll scream about it, and they'll call him names over it. They'll attack him over it. How much of it have they ever actually been able to refute?
Now here's something that's going to piss you off, but I'm going to say it anyways.
I'm such an even-tempered guy. Nothing makes me mad until you start sounding like a Democrat. So go ahead.
Yeah, good. Mafia in Palermo arrested 180 mafiosa. That's who was arrested. What do you know about this?
You're going to do it again.
Is this your familia?
I'm telling you, I probably have some relatives among them. We figured some of the reactions we've gotten from, matter of fact, that family that runs the pizza place in Cheyenne, they're from Palermo, wonderful people, the Mondello family, and they heard our name, Adamo, and they said, yep, we know the Adamos back in Palermo, that, yep, there's some mafia there. So I figure if we ever do go to Palermo, that we'll probably have one of two things. We'll either be treated like royalty or we'll be mowed down in a drive-by shooting, one of the two. So,
You know, my father probably had more experience with the mafia than you'll ever have. Okay. He was in the liquor business on the south side of Chicago.
Oh yeah,
And
unfortunately, there's truth to that.
he had the Blackstone Rangers, the original Blackstone Rangers, meeting in his basement, and he had the mafia wanted him to run all their liquor stores in Chicago, and he
Well,
turned them down.
good for him, because I'll tell you something. This, we can joke about this all day long, but there's a pattern here, and I will be tying this right back to the DC swamp. The pattern is, if your father had done that, he would have eventually had access to all the information of what they were doing. He'd have had access to the books and everything. Yeah. And guess what? That makes him a threat. That means early retirement.
Partially what he was thinking when he turned him down.
He was absolutely
he
right.
Said, look, if a bartender steals, I'm going to be responsible.
Yep.
If anything happens in here, you're going to blame me. Pretty much the same thing you're saying.
And if the FBI, back when the FBI...
But they stayed friendly in that they would work with the FBI and get some of the ex-mafiosa hitmen jobs, and one of them happened to work for my father, Hank Ardino. And I'm telling you, I was 12 years old when I met this guy, and he was my size, and I'm small. And he was a scary-looking guy, let me tell you.
And they live a scary life. You hit a point where there's no conscience. And,
you're right.
Yeah, they can be friendly, they can seem nice, but I can give you some pretty sinister characters throughout history who had a nice demeanor.
I'll give you the top. This is, I suppose I could say this since it happened in 1954. My father he used to work for Capital Liquors, I think it was. And he was also in the same business was, what's the guy's name who used to be an assistant to Al Capone? He was the accountant.
I honestly didn't keep up with him that closely. That was probably Uncle Vinny. We just called him Uncle Vinny.
Uncle Vinny, if you like. But my father got a phone call one day because he was always going to lunch with this one guy every day. But it appears that his Frank something or other. Golly. Anyways, he says on the phone they said Melvin, huh?
Frank
Nitti. Frank Nitti. Okay.
I only know that because of an old episode of The Untouchables.
Yeah.
Honest
but
truth.
This was the actual Frank Nitti.
Yeah, okay.
And who apparently they were mistreating his widow somehow. And he was going to lunch with another guy that owned the business. I think he was a Jewish guy. And somebody called him and says, whatever you do, Melvin, do not go to lunch today. And he didn't go to lunch, and they hit this guy.
Wow.
They hit him on the way to lunch.
Yeah, there's lots of stories like that. There's lots of Epstein-type stories going way back when. And the problem with this stuff is that it's a cancer. You don't root it out. It doesn't just sit there. It continues to spread, bringing us back.
My father, when he moved here, I got him to move in 1977, about 2 years after I opened the Rolla store, and he had just sent me to college and he had other problems and stuff like that. So I moved him down here and we were partners till he died. And and he loved it down here. Eventually, he wasn't used to it. It took him 3 years to get used to it. Then he discovered golf and a place in Miami he could stay. So that was that. But my relatives all thought he was going there to hide from the mafia.
Okay. Well, might have been a good move. I don't know if St. Louis is the best place to hide from the mafia, but
this isn't St. Louis, buddy. This is Rolla, Missouri.
Same thing.
Yes, I know. They're all over the place. Kansas City, but they matriculate mainly to big cities, don't they?
So I'm not an expert there. I want to get back to talking about the real organized crime that has been destroying our nation, and how the real untouchables are in there actually dealing with it. I've got so much on that. One of the things I want to discuss just briefly here, let's talk about CNN, because CNN has absolutely, surprise, has absolutely disgraced themselves this week again. That's CNN. Their viewership is going down.
Who's watching it?
What's that?
How would you know who's watching?
Well, yeah, good point. Well, occasionally we see videos on Twitter that or on X that show a whole lot more people than you actually see on CNN. So we got a couple of people. We got a woman named Kara Swisher, who last night was a CNN political analyst, and she spent over a minute on CNN talking about Elon Musk's mannerisms and how, I mean, these mannerisms, because he waves his hands and he laughs at his own jokes, and how all of this stuff is so pertinent. And what it is, this is, for those who are looking up here at my book, this is a leftist Alinsky type thing. You can't attack what he's actually saying and doing, because he's telling the truth when he goes after government corruption. So what you do is you go on this personal attack to try and demean him.
You attack him if he's a Jew or an Italian.
Yes, the same thing. And so this is what they're trying to do to Elon Musk. And it was embarrassing. It was so petty, because he laughs at his own jokes and he wants his underlings to laugh at his jokes. And I mean, we're listening to an adult supposed political analyst, and she sounds like about a fourth grader trying to pick on Elon Musk. And she's a CNN political analyst guest that they have on. Okay.
Well, you know what? He might buy CNN. I'm serious.
If he pays
CNN, he's looking at NBC.
If he pays more than $50 for CNN, he's getting ripped off. Okay.
Well, change the whole thing and make it work.
So let's talk about another CNN embarrassment. And I loved this episode. It was Caitlin Collins in the Oval Office, and she is CNN. So therefore she's the prestigious reporter, and she literally cuts people off because she's got to ask her question, because it's so important. And Trump, 2 times in about a minute, 2 times he shut her down. He starts by saying, essentially, my words here. Now he says, "Shut up. You're out of order. You're not supposed to be speaking right now." Okay. Then he finished what he had to say. He got done. She cuts right in and starts talking again. He said, "No, again, shut up. You're out of order. You're not the first one here." And he turned and talked to somebody else. Now, my attitude.
It reminds me of somebody that I know. Let me think.
Kindred spirits.
I think I'm looking at him right now. No,
kindred spirits. Yep.
I got another guy coming at 10, and he's gonna be chopping me up. I mean, I can't get him to shut up. We're gonna have to cut his mic or something, you know.
Well, I'll just sit here and let you talk. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. I'm going to ask you a question. So Trump, what do you think of Trump's ploy to end the war in Ukraine and Russia? What do you think of that?
Am I allowed to speak?
I asked you a question.
Okay.
You may speak.
I raised my hand. See, I raised my hand.
You don't have to raise your hand. I know what it is. I know what it's camouflage for. What do you got in his hand? I know what that is. That's
no. You're going to say that's a Nazi salute, right? No. You're going to try all this stuff.
I don't want a middle finger.
That's the same thing as the Nazi salute thing that the Democrats did to Elon Musk. So you're becoming one of them. Be careful.
Oh,
so the one thing I will tell you,
psychiatrist, you should need one. I see.
Boy, you're really on a roll today. You must be.
I had a psychiatrist.
Did USAID cut off?
He gave me a deal. He said I was only half off.
Did USAID cut off your funding this week? Because you're mad. So
no, I never got any aid from them.
What do I think about Trump and Ukraine?
Yeah, the Ukraine thing. I mean,
without understanding all the details, I'm watching this because I will tell you he has generals. He has is that a Nazi salute?
No, that's the guy I just insulted.
Oh, okay. He has now see, I lost track of my thought. Trump has all kinds of experts analyzing this. The one thing I will tell you that about this situation is so different from 3 weeks ago is that Trump is operating from a position of strength. Putin knows that. So does Zelensky. Yeah. Okay. Right. That he's not coming in there and saying, "Hey, who can we throw money at to try and appease or maybe throw money at. You'll throw some back at my son and the Democrat buddies. He's not doing that. He's coming in there saying, this is the United States of America with the full, military and economic force of the United States of America coming in and saying, we're going to fix this situation. That's the fundamental difference here. Now, how it's playing out, a lot of what we see, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. I'll wait and see how it actually plays out. But
we do know that they're going to meet in Saudi Arabia.
Wow.
Putin and Trump are going to meet in Saudi Arabia. That has a lot of interest. I talked about it with the rabbi earlier, and some of that could be that this is a slap at China, who's been trying to get chummy with Saudi Arabia. This is part of the Abraham Accords, which the Saudi Arabians were just about ready to sign. And then they had the October 7th, 23 thing, the attacks. So it's a whole mess of things that could be going on with that. All right. And a lot of significant things. And that's why every time Trump does something, you need to analyze it, because he's got other things that are going on.
Exactly. That's why they refer to that as 4D chess. He's not just responding. And this is,
by the way, hold on. I've got
I almost got to talk.
Hold on. Let me. Well, I'm sure he wants to get in, and you might like this guy. Let me introduce him. You can stay as long as you like, because we don't. Well, no, you can't. But
who can stay as long as I like?
You can stay. What the hell? If you mute yourself. Anyways, this guy is a retired federal employee. He manages the forestry, the forest for the part of the United States, right?
Not near LA, I hope.
Huh?
Well, actually, I'm going to talk about that a little bit today.
Yeah, he fought for us in the Vietnam War, and he's
Thank you, sir.
He's the official golf teacher to the Dave Weinbaum Show.
Yeah, and that doesn't pay well, I might add.
Did you not get a shirt?
Yeah,
Did you get a shirt?
You gave me a pink shirt, okay? A pink shirt.
You identified.
Why are we not surprised?
Right away. You loved it. You loved it. Anyways, we're going to talk to you a little later. Now, can I go back to this gentleman here?
Sure.
Hey, thanks.
Okay, now that I'm totally off my game here, let's see.
Good. Then you're going to listen to me. $2.7 trillion. Dems wanted to shut down. They figure they can cut out $2.7 trillion. Now that's still, we still got a $36 trillion
debt
deal, but you know what? That's going to set things straight so that we
it's a
stop
move
overspending and we start cutting stuff.
It's a move in the right direction. Now, there's two issues I want to discuss here. I want to discuss rhinos like Paul Ryan, who back when he was in a position to do this, it was like the 2015, 2016, and we will balance the budget, not pay off the debt, but balance the budget. He said, we have a 20-year plan to do that. So what he was saying in 2015, whatever, is in 2035, we'll actually have a balanced budget. Okay. Now, this is how the rhinos do it. And this is why rhinos lose. Okay. And we contrast that against what's going on right now. Here's the Democrat threat. And this, if any one message, please let this get out to America, because this is so important. We got to set the record straight on this, because the GOP drops this ball every time. A government shutdown. That's one of the threats right now, is either we do things the Democrats' way, or it's going to be a government shutdown. And the Republicans carry this water for the Democrats every time. They say, if there's a government shutdown, the Republicans are always blamed for it. That's a lie. That's a rhino lie to keep us from taking a stand and shutting down the government. Here's the truth. If the government shuts down because both sides are at a standoff, the side that caves gets the blame for it. Now, admittedly, 90% of the time or more, that's the Republicans that cave, and then they get the blame. But the idea being that if we have a shutdown, Republicans are going to get the blame, so they have to cave. Okay, that's a lie, and that's a lie that they proliferate because they don't want to deal with the problem. The real truth is, if the Republicans stand, we saw this one time, the Republicans stood, and Trump was president, and Trump was not going to capitulate. They stood fast, and finally, Trump started calling it the Schumer shutdown, all of a sudden the Democrats are getting the blame for the shutdown. All of a sudden, they're the ones on defensive. They cave.
No, there's no doubt about it that this guy's got his, you know what, together.
And
he has learned so much since the 2016, and he admits that.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, he didn't understand. He didn't understand it. He was a New York.
Well, I would even go into a little bit different direction from there. You're absolutely right. The things that happened during his first term, but the two big things that changed everything was the stolen. You hear me? You hear me? And anybody out there, any of you rhinos, the stolen 2020 election. Absolutely.
I had that in my opening monologue of Trump saying that to Brett Baer,
and he never backed down.
And he's the one that said. He's the one that broke the story when he said Trump lost Arizona back in 2020.
Yeah, it was a stolen election. Trump has never backed away from that. Almost every other prominent Republican since then has backed away from it. Trump never has. It was stolen. Now, after that, Trump said, you know what? These people I've tried to be friends with. I've tried to work together. That doesn't work. Now I'm going to play hardball. Okay, now, number one. Number two was last July 13th. Okay, when the assassination attempt happened, a couple of things. Trump realized just how dirty, just how evil the swamp was. The swamp tried to kill him.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other thing he realized, and you've seen the graphics of the path of the bullet, it caught his ear just enough to say, hey, you've actually been shot at, but it missed killing him by a mere fraction of an inch. Okay.
Yeah.
And what he saw at that point is God has me here. And is keeping me here for a reason. With those two things, you know that your enemy is absolutely evil, and you know that you're doing God's work. King David going up against Goliath.
Somebody on X actually sent me a message and said that, this is actually in the Bible. This is how God anoints people.
Well, yeah, and like I said, King David's a great example.
Blood on the right thumb. And
okay.
blood on your right big toe, and there's evidence that he might have had all three of those.
Wow,
that's very, very, very interesting. I thought,
but the example is there, and since that time, what Trump has said, and shown by his actions, is we are not going to try and play a nice softball, let's all get along political game.
Yeah.
We're going to look at right and wrong, and we're going to do what's right. And that's the basis. That's the actual core of what's going on. And we've seen just how powerful that is. And how long has it been? Less than 3 weeks?
Oh, yeah. What do you mean less than 3 weeks?
Since Inauguration Day.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I mean, what have we, it's been massive.
It's been amazing. It's been amazing.
This is what happens.
Incredible. And that's why I say every time he opens his mouth to threaten a tariff or want to own Greenland, make Canada a state, put the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America now. I mean, this is stuff that's very interesting because it's all meant for some other, maybe a different kind of a solution to a problem they have. And it scares the crap out of the leaders of these countries because they don't know what to do.
Absolutely. And let's look at how the left on Capitol Hill and in the U.S. media, how they handle each one of these situations. Let's just take one example here.
Yeah.
The tariff that he was going to slap on Colombia because they wouldn't accept their illegal invaders back home.
Right.
Okay. Now, what did the left do? They're screaming about nobody can afford coffee from now on. It's going to wreck the economy. It's going to devastate us because nobody can afford coffee. Okay. This is how they do it. They focus on some little thing to try and grandstand over what's wrong in the situation, what's bad about the situation, and what actually happened. What actually happened is Petro there, the president of Colombia. He not only backed down, he not only did what Trump wanted. There was no tariffs.
Yeah.
There was a threat of tariffs, but there's no tariffs.
Right.
And Trump got what he wanted. And then that guy was so intimidated by the situation, he went from spitting in our face the previous day to not only backing down, but to providing his own plane to bring back these illegal criminals. Okay. So every one of these situations, the left looks at it, what they see as in the moment, they try to paint it up as something really bad. And that's what they're going to squall about. Trump body slams them. He goes around them. And then what do? Did they admit they were wrong? No. These are leftists. They never admit they're wrong. What do? They change the subject.
But when they started, they had a Chinese guy who had a evidence that China was going to take over AI, and all of a sudden, all these stocks went down, and they're talking about, oh my God, this is terrible. They're going to beat us. Blah blah. I'm listening to this crap. I'm saying to myself, this is BS.
Yep.
And I went and bought some stock. I made a lot of money.
Good for you.
I'm serious. I did it based on what they were saying about the AI. I know this thing is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I made.
What you did was you just took the exact opposite of advice of what the media says.
Well, of what the liberals said.
Yeah, same thing.
The liberal media, and also the guys. You can always find guys on these shows like Maria shows.
Bartiromo.
Yeah, and CNN and other guys, MSNBC, and they're all brilliant. So when they say something and they make a stock go down, or they say this one I haven't, it went down. In fact, that's an example I have from some guy, some schmuck saying NVIDIA, okay, and I said, I think he's full of, what? He's crying because he bought.
You think he's wrong?
So I went and bought some, and it's up significantly.
Yeah,
I got Planter or something like that. Plantier. I bought that about 6 months ago. I've more than doubled it. It's incredible. Anyhow,
you buy lunch next time I come to town.
I want to ask this guy. I know you're shy. Yeah. Try to come out of your show, will you?
Well, I guess one of the big issues right now is the federal employment and all the government employees and what Trump is doing to streamline that workforce. I worked for the government for 30 years. The shutdown is interesting because over my government career, I was involved in 3 times when the government.
I want you to ask him a question.
Government was shut down. Well, I guess the big question associated with what you all have talked about so far involves Ukraine, and the meeting in Saudi Arabia. And you mentioned the importance of that meeting, and it goes way beyond Ukraine.
Sure,
truly, and Trump's selection to meet only with Putin in Saudi Arabia is extremely significant politically around the world, particularly to the Muslim countries.
Yeah,
and so there's a lot more at play there than just the Ukraine meeting, which I think the war between Russia and Ukraine will be resolved relatively quickly.
Okay, here's something for this. Here's something for my friend over here on this side, Chris. The Dems, Robert Garcia, he's a representative, says we need to bring actual weapons to be used against Marjorie Greene. Did it in Congress. What should be done with him, Chris?
Obviously, he's inciting violence. Now, if you and I so much as said that the January 6th protesters had a right to be angry, the FBI shows up and kicks in our doors and drags us off in handcuffs. And here he is actually inciting specific violence towards people.
Yeah.
He needs to be dealt with severely. In my book, he needs to be arrested for inciting violence, because if at any point something happens to her, he's complicit in it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, right now we don't have an FBI. Until cash gets in, we don't have a workable FBI.
And look at that. Why are they stalling? They're stalling the inevitable. He's getting in. What are they doing? They're trying to throw a wrench in the works. It's not a matter of is he fit or not. We've got the votes to say he's fit. They're dragging it out as long as possible, because each day that he's not in there, there are files being burned and deleted, papers being shredded, et cetera, et cetera.
No, you're right. Now, I want to talk to the ex-retired forestry manager here from the federal government, and ask him why. Somebody said this yesterday, and if this is, first of all, say if this is true or not, and if so, can you explain it? No accounting has been done over these most of the government facilities, most of the agencies, since 1946.
I'm not sure what that means. You know, in terms of
there's no actual accounting.
Well,
for it.
I don't believe that truly.
Okay.
I don't think that's the case. I ran a fairly large budget for several different divisions, and you account for the money every year.
Okay. What about you?
Okay, I'd like to cite an event that showed up. It did show up on national TV in 1995. Newt Gingrich was the new Speaker of the House. The first time they had Republican domination of the Congress in over 40 years. And he went back and looked through the books, and there was millions missing everywhere because there had been no accounting. And I wonder where it went. All these people, you know, they go in there on a limited salary and they become multimillionaires. And he went in there and found out that, I mean, if you and I did that on our taxes, we'd be in Alcatraz or Gitmo. Okay. And yet it's like the Democrats hadn't done any of that. No accounting, no paper trail. The money's just missing. Okay. So that does happen. Now, Gingrich's problem at that point was, it's like, all right, guys, you know, let's let bygones be bygones. They didn't walk a bunch of people off to jail like they would have done if your accounting at McDonald's was that bad. And so, yeah, that happens.
So let's assume that in your particular case that you did a great job of the budgeting and making sure that the money was where it's supposed to be, that things were paid for properly. Did you know of anybody else in government that was reckless, like Chris here says?
Well, when you start dealing with the federal budget, you have to look at where the money goes. And when you look at the appropriations, most of the money, you know, most of the money goes in social programs. Okay. Over 50% of the budget. Another big chunk goes to Department of Defense. When you start looking at fraud, those are the areas where you have to start looking first, because that's where all the money is. The fraud that
why is the money there?
Because of the priorities identified by Congress. Basically, they're the ones that set the priority in terms of allocating funds. The executive department.
Okay, but the funds are there. Are they not? They're not. It seems to me like Department of Defense does not do a good job of controlling what they have.
That's the problem. Yeah, you identified the problem. And the Department of Defense, for example, gets pretty close to $1 trillion, 800 million. Okay, and the vast majority of that money is contracted.
Right.
They don't have an adequate program overseeing those contracts.
Exactly.
Nor do they have a bidding process to get the best for your money. And as Dodge gets into the Department of Defense, they're going to find millions and millions of dollars.
They're going to get creamed.
The other problem you have is fraud in the social systems.
Yeah.
When you look at all the money that's being spent for welfare, the fraud is rampant.
Oh, sure.
I mean, we're paying people. Social Security is a good program, but we're paying people that are 150 years old.
Yeah,
I doubt that they're there.
Boy, I'm gonna.
Oh, you're just an ageist bigot. Can I go back and interject something here, just because of what you're saying?
Yeah, you're getting time over, so don't be mad at me afterwards.
Because I want to use just one of these things that happens to us. We see these numbers flying by us all the time, and I'd like to just show you how this stuff works out. Now, you use the number, and I'm going to just use this one because it's a round number. You said about 1 trillion for the military budget. Okay. Here's the thing that we on Main Street need to try to grasp. Let's just say, just pretend that 99% of that money is spent honorably and with integrity, and 1% is misspent out of that $1 trillion. You know what that is? That's $10 billion that gets put in people's pockets, sent to the Cayman Islands, buy your little house on the Riviera. $10 billion. Okay. Now,
how'd you find out about my house on the Cayman Islands? That's what I
never invited me. Okay. Now let's take that number. And again, it's silly. It is naive. It is ignorant beyond belief to assume that it's 99% spent properly. Okay. Let's just drop that number to 90%. 90% of the money that goes to the Pentagon is spent properly and accounted for and everything. 10% disappears. That's $100 billion. That is 4 times the amount of money that it took for America to send a man to the moon in the 1960s. Okay. What I'm saying there is these massive amounts of money. No wonder everybody goes into Congress gets rich. No wonder that you have all of these people that are so devoted to helping countries,
what
like sending
you and me and Jay.
We're just
stupid.
We're just the little
Admit that we're
peasants.
Stupid.
We're the little peasants who plant the crops and build the buildings and clean the potholes in the roads and stuff to pay for all of this. Okay, because I guarantee you, Dave, if your income taxes are off by $100, and they find it, they're coming after you. But we're talking $100 billion here. And again, that's assuming that 90% was actually properly accounted for and spent correctly. And I guarantee you it's not that high.
So we got to get a lot better at that, don't we?
We have to understand the magnitude of the problem.
The real problem associated with government funding deals with those folks, particularly in the independent agencies that have little oversight on them.
Exactly.
USAID is a good example. How in the world can USAID give Politico $8 million?
Yeah.
How can they do that? They have no oversight. So when Musk comes in and immediately says, this isn't right, they go bananas.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what's happening right now.
They're giving money to people to run shows all over the world.
DEI. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just
gay shows.
It's just misplaced money and it's lack of oversight. And
that's our taxes.
Another organization that has no oversight is the Federal Reserve.
Yep.
23,000 people work in that organization, and they're an independent agency. There's no oversight in expenditures in the Federal Reserve.
What do you mean an independent agency?
Independent agency does not report to any secretary.
Why not?
Because they're identified by Congress as an independent agency. They exist on their own. They're part of the executive system.
So they're licensed to cheat?
They're licensed to have their own oversight.
And let's just add the fact that we don't have any cases on record of Federal Reserve employees from the bottom of the organization to the top. We have no cases on record of any of them starving to death because they couldn't afford to buy food.
And he's done his study. On that note, I want to thank you, Chris. And other than the Dave Weinbaum Show, where can people find and buy your book? By the way, this guy here is a hell of an author too.
Oh,
yeah, I've actually written 10 books at this point in time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're a lot busier than I am. This is just one book, Rules for Defeating Radicals.
Really good book, though.
And I'd like to get this into the hands of the Freedom Caucus across America. I wish we had time to talk about that. But anybody who wants a basic field manual for how to avoid leftist dirty tricks, understanding who they are, how they operate, so that you can avoid their dirty tricks and actually beat them, Rules for Defeating Radicals at Amazon.
You know, the crooks who stole my blankets convinced me it was a cover-up.
Oh, come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Adamo. Thanks, Chris.
Keep up the good work.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Thank you. Don't send anybody. Don't send anybody around here, okay? Anyways, he's a good guy. I like him.
Well, what do you want to talk about?
He's a pain in the ass, so like some people in this room. I don't know. Not JP either. What do I want to talk about? What is this? All right. Did I introduce you properly? Because I forgot.
I don't know. You introduced me. It's kind of lame, but you know.
Well, yeah. What other friends here? Should I get Ravenscraft here to introduce you? That would be much worse.
Yeah, I don't know if he would have a little trouble. He gets a little flustered when you put him in a microphone.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, so do I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, if you want, let's see. Oh, if you want our business, you must treat us well. Your rules are an attack on free speech. Oh, hi, honey. You remember my wife, Lisa?
Hi.
And by the way, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
You know, I as I came up in the elevator,
yes,
there's a lady with a big box of donuts.
I'll bet you.
For Valentine's Day. And I thought she must be coming here, but she told me no.
Uh-oh.
And all I'm saying is, where are the Valentine's donuts, okay?
Valentine's donuts.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies, where are the Valentine donuts?
I don't have any. We
Oh, wait, was a man supposed to do this or what? Wait a minute.
Well, yeah, probably.
What's going on here? Give me Eddie Murphy. Give me a hit.
What do you know from funny, you bastard?
Yeah, I was referring to you and not me and him. That's for sure. Anyhow, Tom Homan. Let's. I don't know what the hell I was asking there. Tom Homan confirms ICE operation leak was by FBI agent. That's why I asked that before. Now there's a criminal investigation. Now I wonder if Pam Bondi is going to do that, and or now she's got a guy at CIA who's I think is great, Ratliff.
Yeah,
and now she's got Gabbard at she's in charge of all the intel.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the FBI.
Sure.
Okay. They're politicized, and obviously during the time Biden was.
We say they're politicized. You mean all of them?
They, the FBI. I think it goes way beyond just
the heads.
Just the heads.
Way beyond it.
I think it's embedded, particularly in the Washington division and probably some other divisions. There's divisions heads around the country for the FBI. And the Washington division are the ones that investigated the January 6 people.
Yeah.
Okay. That division head got fired. Division head in New York got fired. And there was one other one, and I think it was Florida. The problem with the FBI is they've lost their mission. They're supposed to investigate criminal activities.
Yeah.
And all the other things associated with dangers to the government. That's not what they've been doing.
Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to Edgar Hoover.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? He was also political.
Well,
he goes way back. It's got a history of it.
Created the agency, and he was one of the most political directors ever.
Exactly.
I mean, he investigated all the politicians.
Yeah.
Okay.
And held them accountable.
Oh, he did.
And spread stuff about him. And, how about him and Martin Luther King?
My view of the FBI at this point in time is it's probably no longer useful.
Okay. So what would you do with it?
I would go ahead and do away with the FBI and give all the interior in the functions within the United States to NFS.
National
safety, which basically includes Border Patrol, the Marshal Service, and all the other.
Well, what about
you can't give it to the CIA. The CIA is only tasked with foreign powers. That's their role.
Really,
FBI domestic.
So
CIA is foreign.
We're about to see the records of the assassinations of JFK, RFK Sr., and Martin Luther King.
Correct. Yeah.
So, what do you think the CIA may have been involved in? I would say they probably is involved.
I don't know about the CIA. The FBI possibly.
Well, you said the CIA is
the CIA is foreign. Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Now the CIA has been accused of being into the John F. Kennedy assassination for years. Now I don't know if it's true or not. But I suspect they had something to do with it.
I suspect not.
And maybe Robert Kennedy.
I suspect not on the CIA.
Okay.
I would be much more suspect of the FBI because they're the ones with all the domestic surveillance.
Nobody's mentioned that.
I know.
The FBI.
I know. And the CIA, the one problem with the CIA is that there's a law that allowed them to surveil domestic individuals associated with foreign spying and transactions. And that gave the CIA the ability to do work domestically. And they've been doing that for about a decade or so.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that happened in when they went ahead and impeached Trump the first time over Ukraine, that was the CIA working with the U.S. aid organization, if you can believe that put all that information together for the Democrats.
And the guy that made up the story, Steele, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was an
Englishman, wasn't he?
He was an FBI operative.
But an FBI operative.
Yeah.
So they were diligently working on getting rid of Trump. Weren't they? And they were investigating him all the time. with these visa courts and these or FISA courts.
Yeah, the FISA courts give them the ability to investigate without warrants.
Right.
And
exactly.
And
so we got courts that are doing this too. Now
we do.
They were put there because of one. Why did we need FISA courts?
Well, FISA courts were created again by another law that allowed surveillance organizations, primarily the FBI, to go ahead and investigate people without warrants, without public warrants. These are done by the FISA judges, which gives the authority to the FBI to conduct their investigations domestically.
Why was that considered a need?
Well, it came about after 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay, and it came about because of all the terrorists that they viewed that might be in the country. That's what created the law.
And why do we need it now?
Well, we still have terrorists, but it's been so abused that it's no longer useful.
Yeah.
That's the problem, because the FBI and the CIA both abused the FISA courts.
Now we're going to be talking to Jeff Zink, and you know what he's going to be now, right?
Yeah.
The HHS assistant to Robert J. Kennedy. He's going to be on a little bit. And he had a judge who was from the FISA court put his son away in a D.C. cell. And one of the reasons was that they were in favor of Donald Trump as president. He said that to the jury, the judge.
Yeah.
And he was also in the FISA courts.
The judges are a problem, but the main problem are the prosecutors that are bringing the case, and those prosecutors are all with DOJ, and
they just lost a bunch of them.
Well, I know they did, and that's Bondi's task. She's got to go ahead and ferret out all of the attorneys, and there's 25,000 attorneys in the
and
Justice
isn't that
Department.
Common that people that the new president gets to kick out all of the prosecutors over the country?
No, that's the way it works. Is that all the ones that are political appointees, the Schedule I employees, which are political appointees, are replaced.
Okay,
that's the department heads. But when you get down into the task of getting the assistant managers or the division heads, those are all tenured employees, and generally they stay.
Yeah.
The problem is that a lot of those are woke to the point that you can no longer use them in the current administration. And that's the task that Bondi has in terms of making that agency better, is getting rid of all of those people that are tenured employees that no longer subscribe to the current administration philosophy.
All right, let's talk about the California fires. I know you wanted to talk about this.
Well, yeah,
because this is your specialty.
Yeah, I worked in the fire program for several decades, and when President Trump went to California to review the fire damage, he took the chief of the Forest Service with him. The chief of the Forest Service is Randy Moore. I worked for Randy Moore for many years. He actually was here in Rolla as the forest supervisor for many years. And so we worked together. Randy Moore went out to California and gave advice. He didn't say much, but he gave a little advice in terms of forest management. The problem with California is that there's something called the urban interface. And the urban interface occurs when you have a forested area where the building programs begin to encroach upon that forested area. They build houses in the mountains, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what California has done. Associated with that, they have the Green Energy Plan in California. The Green Energy Plan says you can't go in and cut brush. You can't do timber thinning. You can't do fuel hazard reduction. So when you do have a major fire, it explodes because there's no fire breaks, and the fuels are massive because they haven't done anything to manage their fuels. So that's what happens. So California has got to totally change the way they manage their forest, and in terms of, and also how they allow urban interface to occur within forested areas. The problem is California is semi-arid in a lot of those areas.
What?
Semi-arid.
Yeah.
Which means they don't get much rain.
Right.
Okay. So in those areas, when they get the tsunami winds in the spring, and it happens every spring,
right,
they get even drier. And when they get even drier, I mean, anything will cause a fire.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The problem right now is they have a lot of homeless people out there.
Mm-hmm.
The homeless people cook all their foods over fires. I'm going to suspect that a lot of those fires have been caused by homeless people, because it just takes a spark when it's this dry.
Oh, yeah.
And there's sparks everywhere in terms of the way California is being managed at this point in time. So California's got to totally change the way that they manage their forests. They have to totally change the way they handle homeless people. They can't allow homeless people in any of those urban interface areas. And those are the kind of things that when you start giving them the $50 billion that they've asked for reconstruction, you have to put some type of limits on what they do to receive that money.
Exactly. And that's where we're at now. Of course, now Lee Zeldin, he's in charge of the EPA. He says there's 1,200 agents down there clearing out the undergrowth of California.
Yeah,
he says they're going to be done in 30 days.
I don't think the EPA knows anything about fuel hazard reduction, to be really truthful about it. If you want to get somebody that can do the job, you need to have the Forest Service do it. They're the ones that are
maybe they hired them from the Forest
They
Service.
are the ones that are the experts in fuel hazard reduction.
But maybe
and
they
fire
hired him
management.
from the Forest Service.
The EPA is not qualified to do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, he was assigned to do it by Trump.
I understand.
All right.
I'm just saying.
He should have called you.
Yeah, they should have.
They should have called you.
They should have called Randy Moore. Is who they should have called.
Well, then you could have referred him to Randy.
Yeah.
See, if you listen, you can get involved in this stuff again. I know you want to.
I have a lot of things to do, and I've already done that for 30 years.
Okay, so let's get back to so you got a governor now who doesn't want to cooperate with Trump or with anybody basically. And then you got another. Apparently, he's termed out after this. So now you've got
Newsom. You're talking about?
Yeah,
yeah.
So now you know who's leading in the race.
Oh, sure.
Who?
It'd be our illustrious vice president.
X.
Oh,
please.
yeah. Sorry.
God
X.
forbid.
Yeah.
I need a cackle. We need a cackle, and make sure he hears this. Don't you take your ears off. No. We need a cackle.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
God, you deserve that. Oh man, I'm sorry to the rest of the audience.
I'm so glad I didn't have my headphones
Oh
on.
my God.
Well, I think it's
man, that hurts.
I think it's interesting the way California is responding to Trump at this point in time because
they're a little scared, aren't they?
Yeah, they're becoming a little bit of a pacifist in their responses at this point in time.
I think they're starting to get it that they won't get it.
Yeah,
meaning
well,
the funds
they
need to operate.
Yeah, they know they have all kinds of problems because of their how they've managed that
Oh, yeah.
state in the past.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about lawfare for a minute?
Sure. Let's do it.
Lawfare has taken a different turn. It used to be, let's sue Trump and put him in jail or go ahead and take as much money as we can from him. But nowadays, lawfare is about stopping what Trump is doing to the government.
Right.
The president of the United States is in charge of the executive branch.
Right.
They serve at his pleasure.
Right.
Okay. The lawsuits they're bringing, I just saw a lawsuit this morning. The lawsuit was filed to restore U.S. aid. Okay. And it was filed by two contractors who said they were hurt because U.S. aid is no longer functioning. So do they have standing in that case? I don't see how, but the judge ruled that they had to restore.
Right. You're right about the lawfare thing.
Yeah. Then. Okay. And that's the way lawfare is working.
Yeah.
You go to the federal employee.
Well, they're protecting all the people that get either jobs or money off of them.
Well,
and 20% of the U.S. Aid is probably legit, and 80% is total fraud.
In U.S. aid, I'm not sure that's true. I think it may all be total fraud. But
Maybe.
when you look at foreign aid, some of it is.
Oh my
is
God, it has to be.
Yeah. But U.S. aid is just another independent agency that is just totally out of control.
I think it was created by John
Jimmy
F.
Carter.
Kennedy.
Jimmy Carter.
I thought it was John F. Kennedy.
No, Jimmy Carter created in '79. He also created the Department of Education.
Yeah. How's that working out?
Yeah, test scores have gone down ever since the.
So, what's your take on Elon Musk?
I think Elon Musk is probably the most brilliant thing that's ever happened to the federal government, because he has the ability, through his technical expertise and the people that work for him, to go in and absolutely do an accounting of the dollars. That capability really hasn't been there until Elon Musk.
Well, it's been there, but it has hardly ever been used.
The problem with the federal government is those agencies that have so much money that go to third parties. That's where all the fraud exists.
Okay.
In
the contracts and things like that.
Contracts and grants.
And the receipts, like, the 150-year old man that's still getting money.
Well,
and somebody else is signing off on that and taking the money.
Yeah, that's not a big number in terms of the dollars involved, but the U.S. aid and all of the contracts in defense, those are big dollar items, and items that items that have to be scrutinized.
This guy is looking at me like he is an assistant HHS guy right now. Man, he's got to look at me like, oh my God. All right, do you mind if I get into it with this gentleman?
Sure.
Here? Okay, let me introduce him. You stay. I want you to stay because you're going to be interested in this. I know you are. Ladies and gentlemen, kinesiologist, I love saying that, expert at health issues, Trump appointed to be HHS Assistant Secretary to newly sworn in RFK Jr. Please welcome, I think he's in Arizona, but I'm not sure, Jeff Zink. Okay, so when do you go up?
Well, we're still waiting on Kash Patel. We have to get him in so they can start my background check.
All right, and I have a gentleman who has been with the federal government as a forestry manager of nationally, and he's also a friend of mine, and he's my golf teacher, believe it or not. So I can blame everything on him. If I shoot something bad,
he's got his work cut out for you. What I heard.
What?
I said he's got his work cut out from what I heard.
No. I'm much better than when I started.
Yeah, the sad part of all this is he's gotten better. I mean, he's actually gotten better, and there's been no remuneration at all. I got a pink shirt, but I don't wear pink, so.
you could have gotten a pink slip. Okay, next time it's a pink slip. How dare you? All right, so I gave you something. You asked for a shirt. I gave you a shirt, and you've been kvetching about it ever since.
I know. I learned you got to qualify what you ask,
and you don't wear it. And your friend Jack, he wears what I got him.
Well, you gave him a blue one.
Oh, so what? So what? It sort of matched you. That's all. I don't know what you got. Anyways, Tulsi Gabbard passed with one idiot voting against her, and I know who you know. What is up with Mitch McConnell? Voted against RFK too.
Well, Mitch is just he's on his way out. This is his last term, finally, and so it's been a long time coming, and he is showing his true colors. He's been a Democrat the whole time, and now he's finally since he doesn't have anything else to lose, he's voting the way that he's always voted.
A lot of your purview, the HHS, I heard, is the highest funded agency in the government. Is that true?
Well, hopefully by the time Doge gets done, it won't be.
Okay.
It's
And he
not the
says
highest.
no.
Department
Which
of
is it?
Defense is by far the
Department-
highest.
Yeah, by far the
By far
Department
the
of
highest funded.
I heard that. Somebody said that. But
I would like
apparently
to
it's
talk
wrong.
a little bit about HHS.
Yes, please.
The one thing that you have to do when you get in there is get rid of the $200 million in funding they have for DEI. And it's going mostly to all the hospitals around the country.
Yeah, it's already gone. That the DEI, LGBTQ agendas, everything, the critical race theory of that DEI, all of that is all gone. They've already gotten the memo, and President Trump put a executive order and has already done away with that. So we've gone from, it was like 4000 BC to 2021, we had two genders. And then from 2021 to 2024, we had, I think, 163 genders. And now we're back to two genders again.
Yeah. So we're McDonald's dropped it too. McDonald's had it. And, apparently all the big shots in tech are dropping it. Even Google dropped it, I think. So I think that's pretty good what Trump did. It's common sense. There's two genders, period, and sign the thing.
What has to be done with that executive order is carrying it out, and carrying it out is going to require that the agencies go back to those allocations that have been made to the various organizations and try to withdraw as much funding as they can. And that's the problem that's going to face HHS is their allocation has been made out there, the funds haven't been spent, and yet recovering it's going to be a challenge.
Well, you're going to have a problem with the education department, which I don't know if they have voted that one out yet, because a lot of the teachers are teaching DEI and other things, gender stuff.
One of the requirements on the states associated with the Department of Education was that they support all of the pronoun use associated with what's required in DEI, and funding to the states was somewhat based on how they comply.
Yeah,
all of those things have to change, and the Department of Education has never done a good job, and it just needs to go away.
We're ranked last in the world, last. So, do you have anything to do with the Department of Education?
The only thing that we will be affecting Department of Education is going to be the food. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get farms to educational tables. And so that's one of the things that is taking place. My camera's trying to fall over here. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can't get this. There we go. Now it won't fall over.
All right. I don't see the difference. 93% drop in border gotaways, which is another purview of your department because they're spreading illnesses, isn't it?
Well, one of the things is that during the COVID peak, where we had mask mandates and everything else, we couldn't go out. We had to be masked or anything else. Yet there were, hundreds of thousands of people every month coming through our border that had been untested, unvaccinated, unmasked, and was just allowed to come into our country. So it shows what the Biden administration was all about. It shows what the Democratic Party was all about. We need to sit down and start having the adults back in control so that we can right the ship. I mean, that's in a nutshell, that's exactly what this is all about, is taking care of the American people. And by doing that, we've got one of the things that I've been working on for the last 2 months is putting together a insurance company that's going to rival Obamacare. And we're going to be able to do things there where we can cut costs and cut premiums and pass those savings on to the American people. And so that's one of the things that, if you drop the premiums a couple of $100, that's a couple of $100 that are in the pockets of the individual. And these are things that we can do, and it's not that hard. We just start putting insurance companies competing against each other instead of like Obamacare, where they don't compete against each other. And so there's no reason to lower prices, increase benefits or anything else. And so we're gonna put competition back in.
So how does that affect Obamacare?
Well, eventually, what we hope is that people can put it side by side, take a look at what the benefits are with our program versus Obamacare, and people are going to start gravitating towards
As in,
our
you can
program.
use your own doctor. We heard that one before. Huh?
I've got a question on Obamacare.
Go ahead.
Okay, and when Obamacare was passed, I wondered why having insurance for everybody was going to make the entire nation well. Basically, the question is, what do you provide at the level when people go to the hospital or the doctor or whatever, and having insurance doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get the best care.
Sure.
And that's one of the problems I've seen with everything that's happened since Obamacare. We have all this insurance out there, but has it actually made it better for the people when they have a need in terms of their health care? I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, let's hear what he has to say about that. Jeff?
Well, one of the things that we're going to be doing, and the difference between this is we're going to look at the diagnosis. First and foremost, we're going to kick the bureaucrats out of the exam room. So it's only the patient and the doctor, and they're the ones making the choice of what's happening. Once a diagnosis is made, what we're going to do is we're going to break the ICD codes, the billing codes, away from a diagnosis. The way things are set right now, you have a diagnosis, and then these are the only things that a doctor can bill for. Well, what happens if they're a homeopathic or naturopathic doctor? What if they are wanting to use homeopathic medicine versus pharmacology medicine? The thing is that we need to sit down and start looking rationally at some of our plant-based medicine and start reverting back to it, because it doesn't have the side effects that our synthetic drugs have. And so these are all areas that we're going to be changing so that we can free up and let the doctor do what they do best. They're good didactic skills. They have wonderful didactic skills, but however, we need to sit down and start allowing them to treat these patients so the insurance companies can't deny treatment, then maybe the patient passes away, or they get worse, and by the time they approve it, they're in such bad shape that there really isn't any way to save that patient. Either way, that's something that the insurance companies have never been held responsible for.
So you can do that at HHS, is that correct? You can change.
We're going to be, well, one of the things is we're going to look at the legalities of that, and that's where Bobby's wheelhouse. That's because RFK has a law degree, and so he's going to be looking at the laws and how we can make sure that we operate and make these changes. And then my job medically is to make sure that we do the medicine. So, like I said before, we have a solution for cancer. That solution is taking a look at the DNA structure. We can now take a model and then have it go against every pharmaceutical drug that we have. And then with that, we can kick out all of those that have no sensitivity whatsoever. But then we can start looking at, well, there's a list of drugs that this cancer is resistant to. Well, if it's resistive, then we kick those out. But all of a sudden, we start finding things that they're sensitive or hypersensitive. And so those hypersensitive ones are what we do compounding pharmaceuticals. We put that in and do an infusion. And then we have to have, because sometimes the cancer, this type of treatment is so efficient that the cancer or tumor collapses so fast that it dumps all of that into the bloodstream. So we have to do dialysis and clean all that out so it doesn't overload the liver. All of these things are things that we have in place that are solution. And we're looking at patients that have been cured of cancer because they haven't had a relapse. There's not been any metastasized to any other part of their body at all for 27 years. And if that's the case, then you can say they're cancer free. So that individual has been cured of their, cancer type. And we've got thousands of patients that have testimonials just like that.
Let's talk about research for a while, and paying doctors to push a certain drug and or cure that there's questions about the research, and as you know what I'm talking about probably,
Right.
but in all areas, not just the pandemic. Seemed to me that when the pandemic came along, everybody was dying of everything except for the flu. Was that a cure for the flu? Flu dropped dramatically. Now all of a sudden it's
Well,
back. I'm
now
wondering if we still have the pandemic.
it just changed names. We had the flu, and that was always there. And influenza is something that has to be serious when you have your immune compromised. If you have a healthy immune system, catching the flu knocks you down for 3 or 4 days, or maybe even a week, and then you're right back up. As long as your immune system is healthy. But when you have somebody who's obese, deconditioned, and diabetic, and their immune system is being compromised, well, then when it hits the flu, then their chances of mortality actually increases significantly. And so what we need to do is we need to sit down and start looking at nutrition, which is what RFK came out with immediately after he had been sworn into office. He started showing the processed foods and how we need to get the dyes out of there. We need to change how we're eating. We need to make sure that that's the first front lines. Then you've got the pharmaceutical companies, and where I'm headed with that is the fact that we need to start doing blind studies or double blind studies. It takes the bias out.
Who does the studies? Are they actually the those companies, or is it going to be HHS?
No, it's going to be independent run because the criteria of what I want and what I'm going to be talking with Bobby about is the fact that we need to have independent research, and I would like to see blind and double blind studies. And we can use these pharmaceutical drugs, but the pharmaceutical companies won't be alerted to what drugs are being used. And the reason why is that we're not going to monetize any type of research. And that's one of the problems that we have, especially with COVID. When you have a guy who is on a motorcycle and takes on a bus and then is brought into the ER and passes away, and they test the body for COVID and it tests positive for COVID, and then you write down a COVID death so that the hospital can get money for that. That's monetizing the disease, and we can't do that. We can't monetize.
It distorts all the research, and nobody trusts them anymore.
Well, and it happened all the time during the COVID pandemic.
Exactly.
I've got
exactly.
I've got a question about the price of prescription drugs, and I'll let me relate a personal experience. During the Trump administration, and I take several drugs mainly for heart issues. One of them is very expensive. It's a class 1 drug, and it was I had no copays during the Trump administration. As soon as Biden took office, my copays became hundreds of dollars a month. Okay, and that has to do directly with the impact of the pharmaceuticals on the administration. The question that I have for HHS right now is, how are you going to be able to deal with the massive pharmaceutical companies and the outlays that they have around the world in terms of reducing prices on prescription drugs?
Well, that's kind of very simple because, just under 5% of the world's population is what America represents. And the pharmaceutical companies make 80% of their money off of the American people.
Wow.
So if we bring this back in line with what is going on around the globe, instead of them making trillions of dollars every year in profit, we bring that in line with the rest of the countries there, then you're going to see these drugs dramatically drop. And these are the exposures that we're going to start doing because, again, they just under 5% of the world's population, 80% of the money is driven by the pharmaceutical companies. And this is what we're going to address. And we're going to make sure that, we're going to drop these prices down because there's people that are going to Mexico. They're getting online drugs from China. They're getting online drugs from other places and stuff. And we can't control that. We also need to bring pharmaceutical companies back into the United States so that we can, because it's a national security issue. If all of a sudden the drugs that come from China, if they put something in there that would be toxic and they ship it to you and then they kill you, how many patients can be killed in our country through pharmaceuticals that way? That is a national security risk.
Do you know how much of our pharmaceuticals comes from China at this point in time?
Right now, it's I know that it's almost 60. I think it's 64%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's a strategic issue. It goes way beyond health issues.
Yeah, and also they found the Wuhan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Wuhan place was actually the place where the flu or call it the pandemic started.
Funded
and
by
it was
USAID.
Funded by the United States of America.
USAID funded it.
What the hell's that about? I mean, see how
this is one of the reasons why everybody got all upset about Fauci being pardoned by Biden. The problem is that what you can get a pardon on is the crimes against humanity. And so one of the things that we're going to be looking at is we're going to look at and make sure that we do things. See if I can't keep this. My bracket broke, so I'm trying to make sure that the bracket doesn't fall.
They're leaning. It's like I'm at McDonald's and somebody's leaning on a cabinet, and I go over there and I put my hands on it and I say, "Okay, I'll hold this for you. You go back to work."
Yeah, I know.
True.
I always knew you had a job you could do.
Well, there it is, right there. 50 years I've been fooled. 53 years I've been doing it.
I've been told I'm a great doorstop.
As a drive-through director, right here.
That's right.
Here.
And I've actually seen him in action.
That's right.
All I have to say about McDonald's is as long as you have the McRib sandwich, I'll be a fan.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We won't get rid of it. Don't worry. Just because of you.
Yeah.
All right. So you were talking now, I'm a little should now I realize that I don't want to hurt anybody in terms of their business models and stuff like that. But is it really good to have people invested in these pharmaceutical companies to where they make contributions to Congress that really does not reflect the research, the actual research that's being done, or maybe even consort with the real estate with those companies to twist the facts a bit?
Well, one of the things that I know, if I'm confirmed, that will do is that my anyone in my department will have absolutely no stock, no nothing. They won't have any affiliation to any of the drug companies, meaning that they cannot profit whatsoever from that. And then the research, which comes into our wheelhouse, this is what we're going to be overseeing, is the simple fact that when we're doing this research, that again, it's going to be blind or double-blind studies that are going to be completely independent of any drug, and all of the drug companies will not know which drug is being used. And then the thing is that because it's going to be controlled through us, there should not be any leaks whatsoever. So if there's espionage or something that comes in, that they try to get this information so that they can, try to influence people and stuff. That is something that we're going to be looking into very serious and making sure that it doesn't happen. So, again, but like with myself, I'm not. If a drug company comes to me and offers me, money under the table, I'm going to have them shown to the door and then, turned over to Pam Bondi for trying to bribe, somebody in Washington, D.C. The thing is that we've got to have people that are going to be willing to stand up and live on their salary, live on what they have, and stop trying to make so much money under the table and stuff. And that's one of the reasons why Doge is being so efficient. And one of the reasons why our gas prices, if you haven't noticed, in the last 3 days has jumped significantly. Well, what has happened? Well, everybody calls this U.S. aid. I call it, you said what? How much money was spent? So USAID has been funding all of these things, and the Biden administration was driving down the price of gas. Well, now that USAID's not doing anything anymore, then our prices are now jumping up, and now the Democrats are going to say this is Trump's fault. This is what's going on.
Blaming Trump
all
for the
along.
eggs. Okay, the eggs. They killed what, 1 million chickens?
Correct. And in December, they killed, all these chickens, and we wonder why the egg prices. So again, we have to remind the American people why we're going through what we're doing and what the Democratic Party was doing, and let them understand that as these people are starting to be red-pilled and starting to wake up, that they understand that you have one party that literally is trying to fight for the American people, which are independents and Republicans. And then you have one party that is really against the American people and are wanting to fund, all of these horrific drugs and stuff. And so this is one of the things that we need to sit down and address and take on these companies, because small companies, one of the things that they do, that they can shut down a person a couple of ways, actually 3 ways. One is they can sue them into oblivion, and then as soon as they do, if they have any patents or anything that takes place, then those patents are then sold on the open market to recover the losses, and those companies can go after those patents and things that they have there. The other way is that they go to an individual and they say, okay, well, we'll give you $30 or $40 million. Here's a NDA. And then they take that and then they put it into a closet, lock it up, and it's never used again. And the person's under an NDA, and they can't actually work on any other type of research in that area, and they've been paid off. And so it doesn't help the American people either way. Both of these things have been taking place, and we need to get
running
it
out of
stopped.
time. JFK, when he was being signed in with the Bible there, afterwards he made some comments, and he said that his uncle, talking about Jack Kennedy, started USAID in 1961.
So it actually
I was
started
looking
in
at this as I wrote it
62.
down. And also China. How much blame do we have to give to China for doing this kind of stuff, seemingly intentionally, as well as the drugs that have come into this, the fentanyl? How much of that blame goes to them, and what does I think the president must have some idea of that.
Well, one of the things is that we've got a company right now that can, which is really interesting, when we've looked at the research. So little things like fires. Okay, you have a house fire.
Yeah.
And so after they put out the fire and everything else, it off gases. They say up to 72 hours later, it's off gassing. That fire is. Well, one of the things that this company can,
what does that mean?
so it continually because it's burned.
It's
there's
passing
vapors
gas?
that go up into the air.
It's passing gas.
Correct.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we can do is we can spray this down, and within 30 seconds, it neutralizes every chemical that's there. If you have some of the problems that we have is we come up on fentanyl, and all of a sudden when we realize that it's fentanyl, how do you make it safe? Well, they can put this chemical on there, and it literally neutralizes all of that. So it knocks down the powder and makes sure that it doesn't get to any of the police officers or stuff like that. And they can neutralize this within 30 seconds. And so the thing is that we can make this safe, and we have this, but we have people that are constantly going in and preventing this type of technology from getting out and stuff. And what they do is their buddies use an inferior product and stuff that's not as good because it's my buddy and and we want to make them rich. Well, that's what we got to stop doing.
All right, you got one more question.
Yeah, I think in terms of that, it's something that the initial responders need to have, the fire suppression people.
Yeah.
Once the fire is extinguished, that's what they do is they go around and extinguish the hot spots, and that would be a logical thing to spray on as they do that.
Okay.
Correct.
Other than this show, where can people find and contribute to Ryan?
You can go to GiftSendGo. Yeah, it's GiftSendGo.com/Ryan Zink. He definitely needs that. We are looking at him being picked up and going to the Supreme Court. And so the money that's going will be to pay off his previous attorneys, but also the new case that has just been picked up that's heading to the Supreme Court now.
Good, and that's called turning the corner and facing the bullies, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I failed as an octopus breeder. Too much groping, not enough sex. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Zink. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you.
Ride, and stay in touch, please.
Yeah.
All right, you bet.
Yeah, and we're looking for you. You're going to be on TV next week with the questioning?
No, it's about 3 weeks or 4 weeks away.
You think? All right.
Yeah, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 weeks just to do the background check.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's get cash in there as soon as possible. That's for sure. All right.
Yeah, it starts on Monday of next week.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Stay in touch.
All right.
And we're down to a minute and minute 46 seconds right there. And excuse me. Oh, hey, I sent it 3, 5, 4 times.
Him and Stephanie.
Huh?
To him and Stephanie.
Oh God, I'm gonna tell happy Valentine's Day.
Too late.
Where's my donut?
You got a pink shirt.
Where's my donut?
You got a pink shirt. Show this thing. Can you show this? Which is better, there or? All right, what is it? All right, hold on. The last buffalo in Texas.
In Kansas.
In Kansas.
God
in
almighty.
Kansas. The last buffalo in Kansas. It's hard to read through paper, okay? And it's by, who is this guy? Bob Willis. That's the guy sitting right here. Tell him, quick.
Just a little on that book. That book is actually in publication right now. It will be available within the next few weeks. The Last Buffalo in Kansas is a historic novel. It covers 100 years of American history. It's about one family making an impact on how America became a great country.
Your family, all the way from England to Kansas via the United States and Civil War and everything.
It is actually quite a story.
Yeah.
And it starts with my great grandfather in 1840.
Yeah, it's awesome. A great book. And I tell you what, this has been a bell ringer of a show, I think. Thanks for showing up today, and thanks to all my other guests. And thank you to my lovely bride. Once again, happy Valentine's Day, honey.
And what did you get her? What did you get her is what I want to know.
None of your business. We're out of time. We're almost out of time. None of your business. I'll be back with another edition of the Dave Weinbaum Show next week.